That's right. That's right. And one back at you with another one. As I sort of promised, as I said, I don't really do promises, but I just said what I said. Okay. I said what I said. I don't mean what I said. Free energy, AM1 Media, really looking to add value and bring some different things to the table. If we're going to do this online content thing, it can't just be a bunch of foolishness. It got to be some real value. And we got to fight to fight. We got people trying to set us up for failure, but we got to make sure we don't walk into those traps. We got to be about our health, our fitness, our focus. So I'm going to do a lot more to bring you guys content in that direction. Not only is it not going to stop, it ain't going to stop. It's going to ramp up and move forward more heavily. And with that, I'm bringing comrades. I'm bringing the fam along with me for the mission as far as what I can do, my meager efforts to try to move the needle a little bit. More empowerment, more health, more focus, more all of that. Let's do better, right? And put ourselves in a position of empowerment so we cannot be manipulated. It is a Friday. I know people want to get their turn up on. It's kind of springtime. It's beautiful outside, beautiful downtown Oakland, California. I got one of my G's from the town. In fact, Coach G from the town. Let me bring my guy in. We're gonna talk health and fitness. We're gonna talk lifestyle, diet, all of this good stuff. Let me bring in my broski right about now. Coach
Yo,
G, what's good? What's good?
chilling was good with you.
You already know what it is. You already know what it is. You already know the whole rundown. Getting it in on the media tip, you already know how I get down. And then now tying it in with the health thing, you know what I mean? Fitness over 40 kind of vibes, just overall holistic wellness, all of that. And you know me, I got to be hella extra and tied in with the visual media stuff because, you know, that's how I get down. But, you know, I got to tap in
Hmm.
with my folks. Like I was telling you before, as I was kind of ramping up with this thing, I was like, I got to give my guy G
Right.
um, plant-based fitness. Uh, man, I've always admired your work, your energy, always supported me. You know what I mean? So I was like, hey, let's do some things. Let's tap in with my guy. You know what I mean? Have the tides raise all the boats, the ships, or however you say that. All the ships rise with the tide. Blah 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 blah. Coach G, let the
Right.
folks know about yourself and what you do, how you get down. Let the folks know.
All right. Well, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Coach G. I am the owner and founder of Plant Based Fitness here in Oakland, California. I am a holistic health coach, personal trainer, and I'm also studying for my PhD currently. Well, I have my master's in sports nutrition, and I'm currently studying for my PhD in sports nutrition. So I basically like help entrepreneurs, working professionals, and executives transform. I help them create lifestyles and give them the fast track to a lifestyle change. So that's basically what I do. Um, I got started, probably like about maybe 10 or so years ago, just like with the whole health, wellness, uh, plant based diet thing. So yeah, that's kind of like my area of expertise is just dealing with a plant based diet and habit change and transformation change and how to make it a lifestyle. That's pretty much it.
Nice, 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 nice. What would you say makes your approach to how you deal with sort of your clients and engage any like unique kind of tactics that you put towards or put forth into your modalities, your program?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is more of my experience. You know what I mean? Like I've been doing it for so long. I think after you do something for so long, you kind of forget about how easy it is to do it for you, but for other people, it's like harder. So, like for example, like when people be like, "Oh man, I just I need to do this," and I'm like, "That's easy," but in my mind, I have to like rewind myself and be like, "Hey, kind of like what Kanye said, I've been doing this longer than you." So it's like that's the biggest thing is like understanding that I have been doing it for a long time. And the things that are easy to me are not easy to other people. So what I like to do is I like to take complex things and like distill them down into simple form. You know what I mean? Like, cause I think that a lot of times what happens is people get, things become complicated. They there's a lot of medical information. There's a lot of like health information. It's set up to where unless you're a doctor, you're not really going to understand it. And I think my approach to health and wellness is basically like taking all that complex stuff down and like making it easily digestible so someone looking at it could be like, whoa, I never thought it. Like that's what I get a lot. I get like, I never thought about it like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what makes my approach unique, is just like I want to save people time, because time is our biggest asset, right? A lot of times we don't understand how we don't have enough time, right? And so since we don't have enough time, like, and then I said we don't have enough time, our time is limited. It could be depending on what we do, right? And so that's our most valuable asset, which is time. So if I could save someone time, it'll allow them to get to the place that I was once at, where I was stuck, faster. And so that's what makes my approach to just like health and wellness unique. It's like, I don't want you to have to go through the 10 years of learning that I did. I want you to take the fast track, because it's going to get you there easier. And then once you're there, you're going to be like, damn, I'm surprised I didn't do this earlier. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what makes my approach unique to, health and wellness.
Right. No, that's what's up. Like you said, a lot of things there. Distilling the information down, sort of translating some information that's presented in sort of like a over people's head kind of way, which I think is kind of intentionally done to kind of mystify it. So we want to demystify it. You got the credentials and whatnot. I get into the health thing just purely just rugged, like what I do, and talking about it with people like that. From people
Yeah.
asking me, "Hey, what do you do?" You got more of the credentials though, so you got more backing. You got the extra letters behind your name, which is dope. But you earned it. But then, yeah, just that experience point, that's super key, right? I mean, let me break down this info. Let me fast track your whole situation, and then yes, I talk about that all the time. Time being the ultimate non-replenishable resource. So if you can fast track people's time, that's a big value add, especially
Yeah.
as just the pace of the world kind of picks up. Even though just a lot of weird stuff going on, and I think health is super paramount right now.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, give me some thoughts on that. What do you think? Like, paradigm shift towards health issues. Obviously, in the past couple of years, they've been telling us a lot of things about people getting sick and whatnot. What do you think as far as what people consume? How important is that relative to illness or staving off illness? What do you think about that? Is there a
Well,
correlation between what you eat and you see
it,
what I'm saying?
it, yeah. So let me alley oop that real quick. So uh, what we eat fuels us on a cellular level, right? And so if we know that, if we keep that in mind, just keep that in mind, like everybody that's watching this, just keep that in mind, that what you eat fuels you on a cellular level, right? And what you eat is responsible for your energy that you have or that you don't have. So food either does one or two things when it comes into your body. It either replenishes you or it depletes you. And
Mm.
that's depending on what you eat. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people, they overwork their organs, they overwork their digestive system, they overwork their body as a whole. And then your body goes through stages, right? It doesn't just hop at illness. It goes through stages first. It says, hey, I'm gonna give you a warning. Like I compare it to this, right? It's like pain pills. So a lot of people, when they feel some pain, they got a headache, they got a stomach ache, the first thing they reach for is a Tylenol, right? And the body's goal is to stay alive. So the whole time we are alive, our body is just balancing us. It's balancing us from death. You know what I mean? Like it's trying to keep a perfect homeostasis, right? And what we do is, when we take a pain pill, we interrupt our body's way of communicating with us, because pain is a sign that you need to change something. Pain is a sign that, hey, whatever the hell I've been doing, it's not working, right? And so what we tend to do is we tend to take a pain pill and we're like, okay, cool, maybe the pain will go away, versus listening to what our body's actually saying, right? And it's the same thing with nutrition and food. It's like when you get that first stomach ache, like if you think about it, you throwing up is a rejection. It's your body saying, hey, We don't want this is dangerous, and I'm going to get this out my system as fast as possible. You know what I mean? But we don't look at it like that, right? We don't think of the throwing up as a rejection. Even if you think about on the other end, diarrhea is a purging. So think
Get it
about
out of
both of
there.
those acts. Think about throwing up and diarrhea, right? Those are both indications that whatever the fuck you ate, your body don't like it, right? And so now you got things that do the exact opposite. So, like for example, I know not everybody's plant-based, not everybody some people eat dairy, right? And dairy can cause stomach issues. It can cause constipation. It could cause a whole bunch of gas. It can cause a whole host of things, and those are all responses that the body is telling you, like, hey, we don't like this. You know what I mean? And so I think that one of the things that we could benefit from is just understanding the proper things to introduce to our body that will give us what we call high net gain nutrition, right? So high net gain nutrition is just simply this. It's stuff that doesn't have a lot of mass, that gives us a large amount of nutrients for a small amount of intake. You know what I mean? And so if it for someone to eat a 6-pound steak, or let's just say a 1 quart of blueberries, the quart of blueberries is going to have more nutrients than the pound of steak per size. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what we need to correlate when we start introducing things to our body. We need to start being like, okay, hey, how do I get the most benefit from what it is that I'm eating?
So it's like you're talking about just ultimately being efficient with the nutrients, because obviously, I mean, let's keep it a buck. Most people eat based on taste and just
Yeah.
the habit forming based on taste. And then the nutrition value is secondary if they're thinking about it at all. Right.
Eating based on
Obviously.
taste will kill you.
Right.
like
And not
if
looking
we
at the
just
nutrient density, like the comparison you just made, like eat this thing that has lesser volume, more nutrients. So now you're just talking pure like an efficiency, um, efficiency of what you're consuming equation, right? It makes perfect sense.
yeah.
A lesser amount, more nutrition versus a larger amount or amount of it with less nutrition. So now your body is
Mm-hmm.
going to have to metabolize that and get rid of it. You know what I mean? Your
Mm-hmm.
body has to go through more work for less
Mm-hmm.
nutrients. So it's like,
Well,
where do you
yeah,
think that energy is going?
exactly. And I think we got to really think about this, right? We only have a certain amount of digest. Like, the reason why death occurs is because lack of nutrient absorption. As long as your body can absorb nutrients, your life will keep extending. So what we do when we're younger, if we notice, there are different times when your digestive system changes, right? It changes probably like, from like 16 to 25, you like bulletproof. You know what I'm saying? You could drink as much alcohol as you want to. You could eat as much fast food as you want to, and nothing.
I remember.
We're not going to say nothing happens, but we don't really notice the effects because it all is affecting us, right? But you don't feel invincible until you get to like age 30, right? Age 30 is a point where all the cumulative stuff that you've been doing starts to add up. Like even
Mm-hmm.
in men and women, most women start to see it around the age of like their late 20s, from like 27 to about 30. That's a time where your system changes, right? And then you got another change like at 40, and then you got another change maybe at like 50, and then on like probably like every 10 years or so you
So
receive
let me
some
ask you
sort
this,
of
G.
changes. Yeah.
Not to cut you off, G, because I just want to touch on that part.
Yeah.
Is it that the body is actually changing, or is it that it's changing because of the accumulation?
Well, it's changing due to toxicity,
Okay. Okay.
but
The
because
accumulation of toxins over time
the
is what's creating the changes.
the accumulation of bad food and toxins, and the
Sure.
toxins usually come from the bad food. Now we got certain
Right.
things that we can't control, like environmental toxins. Those are things
Sure.
that just affect us no matter what. We can't control that, but we can get that stuff out of our body. It doesn't have to permanently
Right.
stay. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And so, like,
Yeah.
I feel like we have these points in times in which our digestive system modifies. Like, and when I say change, I mean that it doesn't accept the same stuff that it used to accept. You feel me?
Sure.
Like for example, most people can eat Taco Bell if you in the fast food, and then after a certain age, your body's like, nope. And if you
Yeah.
notice, a 50-year-old eats different than a 21-year-old.
Sure.
That's because your body stops being able to tolerate the stuff that you've been doing before. And so now going back to circling back to what we were talking about the digestive fires, your body only has a certain amount of digestive fires in his lifetime. So therefore, you got things that are equipped with digestive enzymes like fruits and vegetables, and then you got things that are not equipped with enzymes, right? And so the things that are not equipped with digestive enzymes, they use your digestive enzymes, right?
Mm.
And so think about if you, and then most people don't even know about food combining. Like that's a
All
whole nother
right.
level to the game. You know what I'm saying? Like most
Combining the
people don't
wrong
even
foods and
know
make it like ferment in your stomach, like in a weird way.
exactly. Like first of
Yeah.
all, combining protein and starches is not a good food combining rule. You know what I'm saying? Like when people, like for example, if you think about a burger is a digestive nightmare. There's no bread in nature. Nature doesn't make bread, right? You add the protein of the animal meat, and then you add the cheese. You know what I'm saying? Like you're adding all these things that don't really mix together. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of
I mean, it's
times that's
basically
what
a
happens.
sandwich of meat and essentially processed food. Cheese, however you want to look at it, is a processed food. It's not natural. And then
No.
obviously bread is processed too. So then you're putting like beef, protein, fat, depending on how lean it is. But
Yep.
then the idea that hopefully that even came from like a free range source that wasn't injected with a bunch of other hormones. But then, yeah, you're exacerbating that whole situation by combining it with cheese. Hopefully that was sourced properly. But then the bread itself, how your body's going to deal with the starches and the fats, the proteins, and the dairy and potential pasteurized whatever situation from the cheese. Like, oof,
Mm-hmm. But if you think
yeah,
about it,
I
like
see it.
at
So,
the end of the day, free the terms that we hear on our on stuff that we buy, a lot of it is marketing. You know what I'm saying? Like free range, that's marketing. Cage free, that's marketing. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you don't like it's a saying that even with fruits and vegetables, you don't know it unless you grow it. And and
right,
and then you really don't know it if you don't have no relationship with the farmer that's producing it.
right,
You know what I'm saying? So like they could say like, hey, this came from here. This is how it was raised. It was halal, and then you go to the factory and then you see something different. You know, so
sure.
I think that one of the things that we talked about is we talk about like how to transition to a plant-based diet. And I think the key point that I want to leave, which is point number one, which is being an informed consumer. You know, like you have to be an informed consumer because you have to know how to read labels. You know what I mean? Like you have to know you have to know the different types of sugar. So therefore they don't sneak it in on there. You have to know like you know, all these different things to let people that make people understand like, hey, this is what you need to know. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the first thing that I learned is I learned how to read labels. You know what I mean? Like I've been vegan for those of you that don't know, I've been on a plant-based diet for 12 years. When I first started off, I started off just grinding up vegetables inside of a blender and drinking them because I thought that was the way to go. But eventually, as I started understanding that we are in a food system, that's the key is that we're in a food system. You know what I mean? And when you're in a system, you have to understand the system and how it works. You know what I mean? Like you got scientists in the lab that can make something taste good. You know what I mean? Like, because honestly, if you think about like even a burger has stuff injected in it to make it taste a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing like it's just so many things that go on behind the scenes that we're removed from that we don't know. So it's like a lot of times eating meat is dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, it's dangerous because we don't know the source of it. And then on top of that, like most of the animals are genetically modified. So it's like
Right,
the original animal ain't the original animal no more. Like chickens
right,
grow in 48 days now. They used to take 70, 72 or 73 to grow. So how did they make the
I saw
chicken grow
something
fast?
recently. I saw something recently. I forgot where I saw it, but something about GMO chickens, and they genetically modified them to where they don't have feathers. So that's just one
Yeah,
step in
that's
the
what I'm
process
saying.
of taking the feathers out that you don't. I'm like,
Yep.
whoa, 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 whoa. And if you eating out somewhere and you don't know where that came from, you might be eating some GMO chicken. Just the thought of that, and just imagine like
Wh-
fast food
wh-
places that are obviously just trying to crank out and just purely about the bottom line, not about health. And everybody knows it's not about health. So most likely they're sourcing chicken from those sources and probably adding all kind of extra fillers and whatnot just to make it, to stretch it, right? Because they want to cut the dope. They add more
What?
to it, preservatives
Yeah,
and whatnot, so it has more shelf life. Like, man,
because it's about weight. You know what I mean? Like the food system that we live in is about weight. When you buy chicken, fish, or whatever, you buy it by the pound, right? So as long
right?
as it
Add more
weighs the
weight, more
proper
filler,
amount, yeah,
right?
as long as it weighs the proper amount, then you're good. So then the key is this is to make it as fat as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like because then it sells for more.
But
You know,
extra
like
like fillers, maltodextrin, there's all kind of different things where it's like emulsifiers, like things to just give it more texture, shelf life, preservatives,
yeah.
so many things, and just to add more weight to it. So you stretch, like take a chicken. You can take a chicken and say, okay, here's the chicken, here's the meat from that chicken. But what if I make it be chicken patties or nuggets or whatever? So now I can take that same chicken in the amount of volume of meat I would have got from it. Now I find ways to stretch it out and deck it out more to where now I've just made that chicken into the equivalent of 4 chickens because I added this
Well,
extra filler stuff in it. Right.
and that's a whole another thing. Like one filler that they use is wood pulp, and they call it plant cellulose. So
Wow.
there was a company that used to make Parmesan cheese, and the company would do they would do wood pulp, and they would mix it in with the Parmesan, and it's just labeled as plant cellulose. So the whole time you think you eating Parmesan, you eating wood pulp. So and that's what I'm saying. Like when people start learning, like this is the era that we're in right now. People don't want to know. You know what I mean? Like people don't want to know because once you know, then you have to have like it's like a
You
willful
got to start being
ignorance.
responsible. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's like people they want to have willful ignorance, and so they don't want to know. They don't want to know what's in it. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if you say, "Hey, what's in that?" They don't want to know. The first thing that I hear a lot of black people say is, "So what? It tastes good," and I'm like, "Wow." So that means that they could, they actually have a shit burger. Like it's a burger made out of human shit, and they flavored it like a burger,
And they don't
and
want
it's
to
to the
know.
point where we'll eat that stuff because the only thing we care about is taste, and there's scientists in a lab that manufacture taste.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like and
Artificial
it's used
flavors,
it's used in
artificial
a lot
colors,
of like
flavors.
yep, and it's used in a lot of fast food. So like a lot of fast food without the artificial flavors and textures, people wouldn't eat it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't taste
Right.
good. The only
Right.
thing that really makes things taste good is herbs. Because if you notice that we add herbs to a lot of things, like think about ginger, garlic,
Sure.
onions, rosemary,
Salt,
thyme,
pepper.
oregano, salt, pepper. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things, marjoram, bay leaves, herbs is what make things taste good. You know what I mean? And so I think once we get into a habit of getting ourselves back to the point where we first detox our bodies, and then we start consuming more whole foods. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be the key to us living healthier lives, is understanding that whole foods are the most beneficial thing to you on the planet, and they actually promote longevity and long life.
I talked about that in a stream. I did an impromptu stream yesterday because I had this whatever. Wasn't planning on going live. Went and did a stream and just kind of got into the weeds on some of the thought processes on these things, like the idea of you are what you eat. Just going back in the day. I don't know if they still teach kids that. They probably don't, right? Because everything is all reversed and hyper woke and fake and whatnot. You can just be anything you want. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but you are what you eat. So the idea of eating dead, dying things or processed things that don't have any life versus plants that are basically coming from and utilizing the minerals of the earth and literally like the fields, electromagnetic fields generated off the earth versus this thing we have in the sky, the sun, in the atmosphere, the oxygen, the carbon dioxide, the exchange from humans and trees, plants, the environment, but the whole energetic element of that to form a living cellular plant structure that's growing up out of the ground. It has its own like energy field to it, right? And then like
Mm-hmm.
each cell is alive. Each leaf is like a fractal mini version of the whole plant. And even when you pick it, it's still alive for a while, like an apple or celery or whatever. It's still alive. Like you can go buy some celery from the store, let it chill in the fridge for a week, cut the bottom off of it, plant that, and just let that grow, and then eat the rest of it, juice the rest of it. So it's still alive. So you're
Even think about
ingesting
this
something
though.
alive.
Think about this. Even at that point, it's still alive if it has seed. Most of the
Sure.
time, we're eating the seeds. So, like for example, think about like when we eat a strawberry. If we were in nature and we ate a strawberry and we had to use the bathroom, the strawberry seed could then grow from our fecal matter.
Interesting. Right. Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So it's technically never dead. It's just different
Mm,
form. There's the saying, energy never dies. It just changes form.
sure.
That's true in the plant kingdom.
That's a dope gem right there. Yeah, because it's meant to pass along like that. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like think
Right.
about
And
that,
go
because like
back to
a
the earth.
seed,
Yeah.
it goes
Makes
back to
perfect
the
sense.
earth, and then it can grow again.
Grow again and replicate itself. So like
It
the
can
whole idea of
replicate.
like plants, like technically, however, this I imagine this whole reality situation we're dealing with to be obviously from some high level grand design scenario, it does
Yeah,
appear that whoever set this up with these bodies here that work well off of plants, they kind of set it up almost to where it's like, hey, there's free food for you here. If you just
yeah.
cultivate it right and treat the land right, you can eat pretty
Well,
much free forever.
well, think about it like this, right? We could store like once we eat fruits and vegetables, they become a part of us. We can store apples for later use. Like for example, like if you go on a race, what do they tell you? They tell you carb load, right? They don't say protein load and they don't say fat load. So think about it like this. Whenever you're doing anything endurance activity, the prime source of energy is carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates. I could eat 5 apples, right? And not use them today and go on a run and use those 5 apples from my stored carbohydrates. So we
Yeah.
can store that energy from plants in our body, and
Right.
it doesn't create any harm. Plants
Unless
are the
you
only.
don't burn enough calories. Right? Because
No, this is the
I use
thing.
carb loading as a strategy, like relative to fasting, intermittent fasting, working out. Like I time it. I know my body so well that I can time it out to
Yeah,
carb load to get more explosive workouts. But I mean, all I'm saying is my understanding, and maybe you have different knowledge on this
yeah,
than myself, but calories in, calories out. If you're having a surplus of calories and you're not doing enough movement to create enough body thermal activity, metabolism to burn the calories, then your body essentially stores those calories as ultimately as fat. Am I correct
mhm,
in that?
yeah.
Okay.
So
So I'm
so
saying
so
relative
you
to like
are
carb loading, sugar, complex carbs, ultimately sugar, carbs, or forms as carbs, the way your body can store that carb load and how it can load up your liver, load up your muscles, you can burn those out. But if for
right.
people who are more sedentary and are not burning it off, that could be a
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
Well, no. See, this is the thing. That we're speaking about a performance thing. So that's when we're talking about the load, right? The load is for a performance issue. Regular consumption, fruits have so many benefits that even if you are consuming large amounts of fruits as your only source of energy, you still need energies for your body to live. Like your brain runs off what? Glucose. So therefore, as long as you are moving, unless you're just sitting in your house like like if you remember the cartoon Wally, unless you're just sitting there in your chair having some
Sure.
juice drip into your mouth, that's the only way that you will run into some sort of issue. But more than likely, everybody gets up and does things. We walk around, we use our
Bruh.
brain function. Well, I'm saying, of course, it's down, but I'm saying we still have to have a certain amount of food every day to run our normal body function.
Sure. I'm saying like the idea of we know, I mean, I know for a fact there's some people that's super duper lazy. I probably in our immediate circles is not so much, but I mean, standard American diet, standard American activity, people working
Yep.
remote, more sedentary lifestyles. There's way more people that are consuming way more calories in a day than they're able to burn off, I would say. I think
So
that's
now this
becoming
is the
prevalent
thing,
and more prevalent.
right? So this is the thing. When we're talking about whole foods are the perfect food because whole foods are automatically low in calories. So the problem is that people are consuming processed food because
Sure.
the whole calorie here's a gem for you. The whole calorie like science is based off of fake food.
Mm,
It's based off of stuff that's not real food that they had to be able to figure out the thermal energy of.
sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because if we look at the way calories are set up, most of the stuff that's high in calories is fake, like Oreos and the
Sure.
cake that you get from the Cheesecake Factory.
Right.
Um, Animal foods are really high in calories, and so the normal calorie intake for a whole food plant-based diet around the world probably is like about 1,000. That's like the average
So I
intake.
guess what I was saying a second ago is the idea relative to what we're discussing, what people theoretically should be doing versus what people are most likely actually doing, right? Unless
Yeah.
the numbers that they spit out for average American obesity, unless they're making that up, which I can kind of look around and see that, yeah, a lot of people are walking around with a whole lot of extra uh,
Mm-hmm.
caloric extra on them, to put it nicely,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
I totally get it what you're saying. I know myself from experimentation kind of with my free energy health system, just my lifestyle.
Yeah.
A phrase, take it to the lab, like meaning I'm experimenting with myself. Fasting, intermittent
As
fasting.
we
I want to
all
ask you
should.
your thoughts on that too. But doing those sort of
Yeah.
things, I realized, hey, wait a minute, I don't even need as much food. I don't even need to eat every day. I've done like OMAD 1 meal a day for weeks straight and been perfectly
Yeah.
fine. 2 meals a
Yeah.
day, ramp up my calories, fasted cardio. That's just my automatic get down, cardio for breakfast. And then
Yeah.
when I'm eating just like more raw vegetables, I mean, I do eat fish, but when I have just more vegetable, more literal whole foods, things that grow out of the ground or in their most natural format, because of this whole like weirdo, we here in the town and it's hyper liberal. They like their lockdowns and their weird stuff and restrictions. So that made me more less wanting to go out, right? So I was like, well,
Yeah.
that gives me that much more impetus and motivation to cook at home or prepare meals at home. I mean, I eat for the most part like a bodybuilder anyway. Like I eat just for the nutrients. I make everything taste good just with salt and pepper. Plus, how I've manipulated my diet, my whole palate has changed to where I'm not even expecting something like fast food. Not that I've even had chain fast food or whatever, but at this
Yeah.
point, something processed sugar is too sweet, right? So I just say that to say most people have no clue that, and to your point, the calorie guidelines that they give are kind of skewed because you're right. People aren't even thinking in terms of actual whole foods that are more nutrient dense than calorie dense. So there's always this like weird deficit or like overage or, depending on what you're eating relative to how you move. So a lot of people aren't
Yeah.
moving as much. So it's an interesting thing, but I think in general, it's technically easy to solve. That's something I always say, the hardest, easiest thing, just having the discipline to, first of all, stop falling into the booby traps, the health booby traps, right? First of all,
Mm-hmm.
starting with what you stop eating that, stop drinking that, stop doing that soda, cut that out.
Yeah.
High fructose corn syrup, all that extra processed sugar type stuff, just all bad. Um, there's just so much to it. Let me do this real quick though, G. Let me holler at the
Yeah.
folks. Shout out to the people in the building right now. Y'all hit the like button, share the stream if you like. Shout out to DC with the $2 super chat. Love the health content this week. DC, I appreciate that. I super duper appreciate that. But what you got to understand is this is the wave. This is the movement. I decided to flex a lot more on this YouTube thing. So this is the direction we're going. We're going more with the visual media production, especially as it pertains to independent entrepreneurs like my guy G right here and the health tip. two things that I'm all about. The health thing, help put my life the where it is now, have the clarity for the creativity, doing the visual media work, and now I've combined that to where I'm going to, do more on online platforms with this free energy brand and AM1 creates. So yeah, there's definitely more of that. So it's not just this week. Oh, we just getting started. We just ramping up. DC, make sure you're subbed on the other channel, AM1 Free Energy. Come join us in the Telegram group. We'll talk more about that. Necessary Evil with the 9.99 super chat. Free Energy team, high level right here. Always supporting, showing love in the chats and in the Telegram group. Free energy lifestyle. She understands it. It's a lifestyle. And basically, people have been asking me for years, what do I do? How do I roll? And I basically just put some notes down and just wrote it down and said, here's how it is. And I'm going to deliver it and serve it up like this, kind of vlog style content. Just keep people focused, keep people on point. Credit Solutionist is in the building. G, I know you were with us, and I appreciate that you pulled up on us yesterday on yesterday's live stream. So this is Victoria, Credit Solutionist, who I was interviewing yesterday. Happy Friday, AM1 to Plant-Based Fitness and Chat. Yeah, that was a super fun chat as always with my sis Vic. That was dope. Microphone Files in the building. Daniel Alexander. You know what? What we need to do is this. Right about now, we're gonna stop the entire show. Let me do something right here. Let me do something here. You good? How you feeling? You liking the stream?
Yeah. No,
The folks
I'm
are
good. I'm about
loving
to go
that.
get my phone charger real quick. I'm about to go get
Handle
my
it, because I'm
phone
about
charger.
to.
All right. Commercial?
Yeah,
All
go
right.
handle that real quick. I'm about to spam your channel.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
What's going on? IG don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
I thought I already had it ready, but anyway, hold on, where is it? Because I got it. So many things, so many things. Do a live stream, trying to have my guy on, all this good stuff. And damn, I just don't have the damn link ready. I want you all to go sub to my guy, Coach G, Plant-Based Fitness. It's one of my town comrades, one of my homies here. Real super cool dude, very knowledgeable, as you can see. We about to be doing a whole lot more work. Who else we got in there? Daniel Alexander Snuggles. We're gonna get to some of these questions as well. Credit Solutionist. James Jordan. My body burns between 2,500 to 3,000 calories just to perform all normal bodily functions. That's because I'm a little overweight. Ah, interesting. A little overweight. James Johnson, you want to do something about that? Are you good overweight? Are you happy? Are you healthy? If not, come tap in. Because I mean, there's so many easy ways to get off extra pounds. If it's fat, extra weight, it's easy. That's the whole point. The hardest, easiest thing, free energy lifestyle. Lifestyle changes totally. You want to change up your diet. For me, I'm more of the type that say, eat what works for you. I can't really get into too much red meat, chicken. That's not really my thing. Fish, yes. Eggs, yes. I literally just feel out how my body is rocking with that. Sin, if you're in here, can you please go get Plant-Based Fitness, Coach G's what's going on? Snuggles is good. Necessary Evil, what's going on? How do people in third world countries eat, and what do they eat, and how does the body look like when they're half past the age of 80? You can tell the difference between an idiot, what, old and first world. Snuggles, are you being mean? I don't know. I don't see any issues with those questions. Does every human have the same type of diet? Isn't it
No.
said some he wins have to ingest? I'm not able to even make out some of what this is saying. All right, G's back. Yeah, no, G, I'm just part of what we do is interact with the folks. You got questions in the comments. Let me look at it
Actually,
inside StreamYard. Or go ahead.
on the fasting tip, somebody had brought up a question on my IG live, and they were talking about dry fasting. And I know
All right.
you wanted to talk about fasting too as well. So let me know when you want to.
Oh, we can go into that. In the meantime, you can go just into your thoughts on that. Meanwhile, and like I told you, I definitely need to make sure I go pull up your
Yeah.
links
So
and make sure we blast it. Go ahead.
for sure. So well, my website is down. I'm trying to get that up and running. So If you direct anybody to my website, it's down. Some technical issues right now. I'm on the phone. I was hitting up my hosting service to get that squared away, but it'll be back up soon. But fasting. First of all, let me just start off with saying that fasting is a really beneficial activity for human life. Uh, that's the way I'll start that off. Um, However, I will say that there's different forms of fasting, right? You got dry fasting, which is what people are doing right now for Ramadan, and I think that it has its place. I just think that it's done. It needs to be done properly, right? And I think what happens is that people don't drink enough water to hydrate themselves. So then when it comes to the point of like, you're doing a dry fast, but you also dehydrate it. So how do you come up with ways to make sure that you're extra hydrated during the time so you don't create inflammation in your body and stuff like that from dehydration? Um, so I think that a dry fast should be done properly. It should be done under careful supervision. You know what I mean? Like you should have somebody that understands fasting in order to help you get through a dry fast properly. Um, Now, the first, if I was doing a dry fast during my times where I couldn't consume anything, um, I would be good, but I would make sure like soon as I can consume, my first order of business would be like hyperhydration, and that would be like consuming at least 32 ounces of water out the gate. You know what I mean? Like, and then also I would work on adding different things like maybe a little pinch of sea salt to add extra hydration in. You know what I mean? And then on top of that too, I wouldn't drink all
Electrolytes.
my water at night. Yeah. I wouldn't drink all my water at night. I would drink some at night and then some before the sun goes up. So that's for like the people that are doing dry fasting. And then there was this other thing that I saw. It was that I usually take. I add to my water normally. It's called sell. I put it on my page. So if you guys are on Instagram, you can look on my page. I did a little reel about this. It's called sell something, but it actually is a something that gives you electrolytes and it helps your body get hydrated during times where you're doing a fast. Now, I think if I'm correct, most dry fasts are religious purposes. And then the next stage you have of that would be water fasting. Now, water fasting is really, really beneficial for the body. Um, it's essentially what we need to stay alive. We need water. You know what I mean? And so, like, and a water fast can cure a lot of things too. It's funny. I was just reading this in my PhD program. It's a book where this guy back in like the 1930s. It was a lady who had like this. It was like a typhoid fever or something like that, and she couldn't keep anything down. Every time she would eat, she would throw up. And so, what he did was he gave her he went to this mineral spring that was around an area, and he got her some spring water, and then he got a little vial and he filled it up with just water, and he said he told the lady to give her the drops, right? And then give her as much water as she desired. Because the only thing that he was stumped. He couldn't figure out what to do because she wasn't holding down anything. The only thing she was able to hold down is water. And so what he did was he went into this field and he was just thinking like, okay, what can I do? And then the water thing came to him. So he went and gave her the water. And then within like 3 or 4 days, uh, she started to heal. She started to get better. And one of the things that he said was he was like, his takeaway from it was that he learned how powerful the mind was because he gave her a placebo. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he said how powerful the mind is into healing, and then
Sure.
also the power of water. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, if people are going through issues, if they just consume water, like I've gotten rid of like uh toothaches. Like I've water fasted not purposely, but because it was a point in time where I couldn't keep no food down. Or you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't eat anything because my mouth was swole. And then I just fasted. And when I fasted, it was just like night and day. It was crazy. So
Right.
there are many health benefits to fasting. However, like if you are fasting and then you start going through health issues, like severe health issues, you might need to stop the fast and then give your body nutrients again and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really big on fasting. I think it's good to fast at least one time a quarter for maybe like if you're new to it, start off with 1 day. If you're a pro at it, 5 to 7 days. You know what I mean? And that's just pure water.
Yeah, no, the fasting thing for me has been super duper big, like in so many ways. I mean, I would even say sort of my overall career lifestyle right now, I attribute a lot of it to specifically intermittent fasting. Like when I explored that and kind of, tapped in with that. Now we're talking like going into like, 2009, 2000, 2008, 2009, 2010. Intermittent fasting, cardio, fasted cardio. People would say you shouldn't do that. And I was like, oh, let me try it. I like it. I like how I feel. Take it to the lab, try it out. I'm in 24-hour fitness, smashing crazy miles on the treadmill. Then I'm doing, muscle groups, push pull, whatever, sauna, come out feeling great, hydrated, beautiful, feeling great. Always on the intermittent fasting. So that's been a linchpin sort of thing the last, 10, 12, 13 years. But over the last 3 to 4 years, I got more into extended fast. So we're talking just, like a 48-hour, three day fast, and just the whole like, wow. I'm writing multiple books right now and just sort of formatting ebooks right now out. But some of the benefits of fasting, it's almost even hard to get them all out. The mental
Hmm.
clarity, obviously, the fact that you can trim down fat, so aesthetically, you can make your body look nice, look better, whatever, however you want to think about that. For
Hmm.
me, it's the mental energy, the clarity, just the motivation. For me, being an independent freelancer, designer, creator, I have to be sharp. I have to be on point, right? I mean, that's literally part of my
Hmm.
job, part of my livelihood. So if I can extract something free out of something like, whoa, just eat less, work out, eat cleaner, and eating cleaner, I'm spending less money, and then it's making me less inclined to want to go drink. uh you know we got dispensaries over here, smoke, you know what I mean, like I'm not
Yeah.
people do what they do, but when you really take care of yourself like that, and again, the whole fasting thing just puts you in this mental clarity state to where you're like, hey, I don't want to do anything to ruin this. Shout out to Credit Solutionist. She was wrapping up like a 4-day fast right now that she just kind of firing off out of nowhere. She came off the couch. Like I said, I use a phrase off the couch, like fighter coming off the couch versus, during the training camp. She kind of came out of nowhere and did a four day fast, and was feeling great. She's gonna break the fast. She wants to get back in the gym, so she's gonna break the fast and get back working out. I'm like, wow, salute to that. 4 days. I've done 4 days before, but for me, I'm right in the 48, 72, and then alternate day fasting. I'm always experimenting with these different things. And then as I started ramped up with this free energy, lifestyle content, whatever, then I'm talking about it more. I'm staying on top of it more. So it's super interesting, like the fasting benefits, man. Like obviously, the way I see it, your body ultimately is designed to heal itself. It's going to try to get to this homeostasis. There's the idea that, yeah, foreign material being metabolized in your body every day from something you're putting in your face 2, 3 times a day plus snacks, and multiply that by, in my case, 43 years. Like if I've eaten 3 meals a day my whole life on average, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of work organs are doing. And a lot of that stuff that I ate was not healthy. And I know it because I went to Taco Bell, I went to McDonald's, all kind of processed food, all this stuff that I damn well know I shouldn't have been eating. Dyes, food colorings, all this. So it's like, how easy am I setting up the pathways to get rid of that? If it doesn't come out fast enough, is it going to result in more fat? Is there the potentiality of having some kind of overload? Is that going to make me get sick? Detox crisis? You know what I mean? Like all these things become very clear getting into fasting, getting into working out more, eating more whole foods. Like just those lifestyle changes are so important. And I think once you move in that direction, it's just like an avalanche, right? It's a snowball effect. It just keeps building up to an avalanche, you would think.
Yeah.
But then what do you think about this though? Some of the
As far as
barriers.
fasting,
Well,
intermittent
yeah, I
fasting.
mean, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I practice intermittent fasting. I do a 16/8. I think it changes your relationship with food. It really,
Mm,
because this is the thing. Like when you cut down that eating window, you're really precise about what you're gonna consume. Because at the end of the day, like you don't want to consume, like for example, if I go eat a vegan burger and some fries, that's gonna sit on my stomach a certain way, right? So now I only got a certain amount. It's gonna take a certain amount of hours for that to digest. So now I have to really think about like, okay, is this really worth the energy that I'm gonna get from it? You know what I mean? Like, so it just makes you more mindful of like what you're gonna
Right.
do when it comes to food. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the key things is that, when you do intermittent fasting, it makes your food choices different. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna eat a lot of junk because it's like if you eat a lot of junk, then all of a sudden you limit the, you know what I'm saying? Like the amount of stuff that you consume is like, okay, wait, this is gonna make my stomach feel this way. And that's another thing too. When you start eating cleaner, you start to understand how food make your stomach feel. Like for me, I
Right.
don't like to be full. Full is not
Right.
desirable for me.
I don't like that
Uh,
either.
I want to eat just enough to save me to the next meal. I don't want to stuff myself. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's a problem too, is that when we don't eat consciously, we end up stuffing ourselves. It'll be like 20 minutes gone past, and then you feel stuffed. You know that feeling like, ugh, I just
Sure.
ate too much. Like for me,
Right.
soon as I feel that little, soon as my stomach get tight, I'm like, nope, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't care where whatever I've eaten. Like I've started breaking meals up. Like I've broken sandwiches up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
because I'm like, I'm not gonna eat the whole sandwich. I'm gonna eat half of the sandwich because I'm good.
Yeah, spacing it out, giving your body, your stomach more time to rest. I forgot the name of that, the chemical that signals in your brain or whatever your body to let you know you're full. And there's certain things they're putting in food to kind of not make that not kick in, so you eat more.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't like the feeling of like being super full, the itis feeling. Like I don't like that at all. In the way I eat now and the way I move, like my body, I basically turn my body into a machine to where it's like, yes, I'm eating this stuff, then I know that's going to give me a whole lot of energy back. Let me do this, G, because we got some dope questions. Let's just start a bunch of these comments.
Okay.
Um, Here's one that I start right now. Folks got some questions for you. Questions and comments. One, Northern Bell said, "Water, rest, and fresh air will do wonders." Absolutely. Necessary Evil asks, "Has he worked with or counseled any diabetics?"
Hmm. I've had some people that were pre-diabetic and diabetic that I work with. Uh, it's definitely like this, right? That's a loaded question. You know what I mean? Like, in what reference do you mean? Like, are you saying that fasting and diabetes don't go together, or they do go together, or what? Like, I think we need to ask for more clarity on that question, if you
Oh,
can.
yeah, Necessary Evil. She'll come back with it. As far as just to clarify that. James Johnson says, and shout out to this, making progress in my weight loss journey. I get assessed every month, and the amount of muscle gain versus the fat I'm losing makes it look like I'm stagnant. Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So I think I see what he's saying. Oh,
Leave that
so
up
he's
there.
gaining muscle while losing fat, so he feels like he's not having any real progress.
Oh, okay. Well, so that's perfect. What he's going through is called a body composition change. And
Sure.
so, what happens when you go through a body composition change is that your pounds on the scale don't necessarily go down, they kind of remain around the same thing. So, what I would recommend to you, James, is that I would recommend doing some sort of body scan, so therefore, you could start figuring. And they have them, like I have one here at the gym if you local, and I do body scans. And the body scan actually will let you know your amount of muscle mass and your amount of fat mass. And that way you could kind of don't get in your head about the weight loss. Cause I know that sometimes what they do when you are losing weight, they like the pounds, the pounds, the pounds. But you could lose 30, 40 pounds and also lose 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, and then what happens is your body won't look how you want it to look once you lose all the weight. You know what I mean? So like, and it also depends on how much weight you have to lose. Like if you're losing like hundreds of pounds, then that's like a slow progress. So, and I always say, remember this: It didn't come on fast, so it's not going to come off fast. It came on, it was
Mm.
a gradual, slow period of time that allowed it to build up and accumulate. And as long as you're gaining muscle and losing body fat, I would say that you are too legit to quit.
Yeah, no, what he said in my estimation sounds like how you want it. James, I was curious, like, how do your clothes feel? Like for me, I don't really even worry about weight so much. I I kind of see like I don't really care. I mean, I can look at myself and see how my body looks, composition wise, whatever, what I'm losing. Plus, I can just literally feel it. And from week to week, just depending on how I shift around my eating, fasting, how much steps I get in, I can see the difference if my body shreds up more, if I kind of put on more fat. Then there's the whole water weight issue. But I would be curious, just gauging it based on how your clothes fit. I mean, I say clothes feel, but how your clothes fit. That's something I notice a lot. Like I go through some, I do a 3 day fast with some cardio. All of a sudden, bam, my clothes fit way loose,
Mhm.
obviously. But then at the same time, I can see more vascularity in my arms and my limbs. I'm shredding up more, so I can see it. So it's like I found a perfect balance where I gain muscle mass while burning fat pretty easily because of how I manipulate my diet. But that's my style to where I'm like doing cardio, fasted cardio, intermittent fasting. I'm always keeping my body guessing. So I call it like a hunter kind of mentality, like animals in the wild out hunting. You might fail hunting a few times, so now your body has to dig deep, more growth hormone, more whatever. And then with fasting, autophagy stage, it's healing, better sleep, all that. But the trick is, and of course, with all of that, eating less. When I do eat, I got to eat super clean and nutrient dense, which Coach G spoke on that when we first started. So for me, that strategy has been working out well. And I want to talk to you more about that. I want to show you kind of what I've been working with. I did the same thing with Vic yesterday, but kind of show you see a walkthrough of what you think about sort of these free energy keys to health. Let me go back to these comments real quick though. Somebody else had something in there. This is an interesting one. Snuggles says, and do you talk about the genetic structure of human beings and animal muscle and what happens when certain humans eat meat on a genetic level? I think I see what she's saying. What do you make of that, G?
Well, I will say that there are differences. Your melanin determines what you need on a genetic level.
Hmm.
There are certain things. Our medical system is not based off of melanated people. Um, Most of the recommendations are not based off of melanated people, and so melanin is the master molecule. So our melanin is what supersedes our diet. It's not our blood type, it's our melanin, right? And so there are certain things that affect melanated people differently than it does other people. Like for example, for most melanated people, we are 50% or higher for most diseases, and these are all lifestyle and food related diseases. So heart attacks, strokes, cancers, stuff like that. So there's certain things that we can that are not meant for our bodies to consume on a genetic level, but people don't want to go that deep into it. But that's some really high level science. You know what I'm saying? Because once you get there, then if you think about it, it's a lot of things that us as people with high concentrations of melanin should not be consuming. You know, so yeah, most of the time, we do best, we live the longest on a plant based diet than we do on a meat based diet. So I hope that kind of
Interesting that the melanin
answers that
tie-in.
question. Yeah,
Very
that's
interesting.
and that's the
And,
thing
and
too. Like,
okay.
no, I was gonna say a lot of times when we get our advice as people with high concentrations of melanin, we don't get it from people that have studied melanin.
Mm,
And I
that
think
makes sense.
that's the flip side to it. You know what I mean? It's like you listening to a doctor that's non-melanated about how you should eat for your blood type, and you don't even know what the statistics that he got for blood type. you don't know the background of those people that he got it from.
Right. Right. 'Cause
You
obviously,
don't
they don't
know.
have melanated people in mind.
Well, I'm saying that's not where they get the most data from. So you gotta factor that in when you thinking about who you take nutrition advice from. Like for me, the way I look at nutrition advice is like I gather it, right, and I figure out what I can actually apply, and I figure out I test it. You know what I mean? So I figure out what works for me and how it works for my body, and then if it works, I keep it, and if it don't, I don't keep it. So it's kind of like a lot of things. Like we got like the diet craze of keto. That's huge right now, and only thing keto is a rebrand of the Atkins diet. That's all it is. It's just the Atkins
I was gonna
rebranding.
ask you about that as well too.
Yeah, it's
I've had some interesting experiences with that, like keto, which ultimately is just low carb. Um, it's my
for
take
me.
on it.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead. No, I was gonna say like I don't ever want to make carbs the enemy. You know what I mean? Carbs are your friends. Carbs is the cleanest source of energy. You know what I mean? Like it burns out of every source of energy. We got three, right? We got carbohydrates, we got protein, we got fat. Those are the building blocks for life. Out of all those sources of energy, carbohydrates burn the cleanest. Protein burns dirty, fat burns dirty. So we are essentially designed to consume complex carbohydrates, and these are things that are soluble with water and mostly fruits and vegetables. That should be the primary source of our diets. Mostly fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, and all that shit. All that stuff comes in another order.
I think part of
So
the whole thing with the carbs is people understanding the complex carbs and understanding what
yeah,
that even
complex
means,
carbs are
like
just
of how
carbs
it
connected to
breaks down
fiber.
slower.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
just fiber makes things release into the bloodstream slow. So anything without fiber that's a carbohydrate can become a chemical.
But
So
let me ask
so
you about this. Okay, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
Relative
say what you about to say.
to in my understanding, even with the keto thing, and like for me, it's easy to go low carb, or the better way I realized it, it's not a matter of low carb more so than it's strategically planning my carbs, and I know how I'm going to work out. You know what I mean? I know how much calories I'm going to burn, and I know I'm having my meals and my activity level in such a way where I know I'm getting the most out of the carbs relative to body functionality. But then at the same time, I'm able to manipulate it to where I can put my body in ketosis because of fasting. Now, this whole ketosis thing, where you're actually operating off the ketones, where you're like pulling from your fat cells in your liver, is sort of reverse engineering and giving you those ketones that are feeding your brain. Have you looked into that a lot?
Yeah,
Was
but
reading
it
a whole
creates
lot of
too much
interesting stuff
cellular
about
waste.
ketones. What's
It
that?
creates too much. It creates too much cellular waste because we're
Interesting, because
talking
I haven't.
about.
I'd love to read more about that. That's super
Yeah,
interesting.
like we just talked about how fat burns dirty, right? And
Well, no,
so
what I'm
and so
saying is your fat. I'm saying your body fat. Like the whole idea of like stored calories, overage of calories storing themselves as fat. The whole idea of going into ketosis is basically being a fat adapted to where now your body's fueling itself off the fat, which is
but
that's
that's
what
the
it's supposed
thing.
to do.
This is the thing. I could put somebody on a high carb diet and get the same results and still burn the fat
Interesting.
and
But then
not have
it's a
to
matter of
deal
the
with
carbs.
the huh?
But then it's a matter of the type of carbs, right?
We just talking about
Like,
fruits. Whenever I say carbs, I'm thinking about fruits and vegetables.
mhm.
So I could put somebody on a diet of high fruits and high vegetables and have very little fat, very minimal fat. 10% of total calories come from fat. 90% of the other calories come from complex carbohydrates. and I can achieve the same results without the cellular waste. So then that's my thing. Like, why take your body to, and not to say that ketosis is a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, we hop on these trends, and we don't understand what that ketosis is doing to us on a cellular level. Because at the end of the day, our body needs fat. Our body needs fat for brain function. So fat is an emergency mechanism, right? So think about it like this, right? The reason why people gain large amounts of weight is just this. Whenever we go to eat, right, our body sends us on an assignment. Think of it like a homework assignment, right? Our body's like, hey, give me the best quality energy that you could find, right? And the average American, what we do is we go out and we go to McDonald's and we like, okay, cool. Let me get that meal, right? And that meal has no soluble fiber. Like it's void of nutrients pretty much, because they probably don't microwave the burger. It's just basically a meal with no nutrients. So what the body says is like, you didn't get the assignment right. Go back out there and get me something. And whatever you just ate, it transfers that into, because that's mostly fat. If you think about it, it's oil in the meat, it's oil in the fries. That turns into fat that gets stored in the body. So over time, an accumulation of that results in what we see with obesity. It's you sending your body on assignments and you not getting the assignment right. So it starts to store the fat for emergency purposes. The thing that the body likes to use readily is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are instant energy, right? And that's the thing. Once we get that instant energy, that's what our body likes to run on, because it's clean, it burns fast, we can recharge it fast. So the thing is, when you start using ketosis as a way to burn the fat, you still have to remember that your body's not going to level off of that anyway, because your body, for men and women, wants to keep a certain amount of fat, because fat is what helps your hormone levels, maintain. You see what I'm saying? So like, my thing is, the way I'm thinking about it, and I'm not saying that it's right. In my head, I'm like, why would I try to burn up all my fat when I need my fat? And then you got different types of fat. You got, like, what they say, your brown fat is the type of fat that
brown
keeps.
adipose tissue.
Yeah, it's the healthy fat. So now, how do we decipher what fat it's burning? Because we can't go in and be like, oh, wait, don't touch the brown fat. That's the good fat. Get rid of the other fat. No, fat is burnt equally, because we're putting our body in that state of ketosis, and then that's what's burning the fat equally. It's not choosing which fat to burn, right? So for me, the way I'm thinking about it is, I would just go ahead and burn off and let my body do what it naturally does, right? Because our bodies don't naturally go into ketosis, right? I will let that's
I don't know.
a hack.
I would have to disagree with that though, because I can say that even for myself, eating whole foods almost raw, and
Mhm.
specifically because I do like to fast, intermittent fast, do extended fasts, just by doing that alone, you're automatically going to go into ketosis if you do like a 48-hour fast. So
Right,
then
but
if
you're
I'm walking
creating
it,
that.
sure.
You're
But my
you're
point is
you're
this: to do that, I'm doing that intentionally because I do want to clear myself out, because I am no longer of the belief that I am supposed to eat every day. Because as I've experimented with it, it dawned on me, yeah, I don't need to eat every day, or I could do easily one meal a day. You see what I mean? So then it begs the question in an almost subjective way to say that's not natural, because then it says, what is it natural for people to eat 3 meals a day? I would argue that that's not natural,
well, no,
because
this
before
is the thing.
industrialized civilizations, people weren't eating 3 meals a day like that on some regular clockwork, right?
Right. There's a saying that goes, 1/3 of the food that you eat is for you, and the other 2/3 is for the medical industry.
Mm,
So obviously we overconsume. We could look at the difference between plates here and plates in Europe,
sure.
and you can see that the plates are bigger over here than they are in Europe. We go to fast food restaurants or whatever type of restaurants we go to, the plates are huge. So we could say that, but back the point that I was making about the whole ketosis thing is that you have to put your body in that state. Whether it's natural or not would depend. It's something that your body can do, but do babies go through ketosis is the question.
That's an interesting question, and because then that's like a chicken or the egg situation. Because babies, at what point, right before they're delivered, they're getting nutrients from their mother. So you know what I mean. I that's an interesting question. I literally thought of that the
They're
other day.
living off
Like, at,
they're living off mother's milk, and mother's milk is a combination of carbohydrates, protein, and fat.
but I guess my thought process is even
Highly,
in that.
highly in the huh?
Well, I guess my overall thought process is this: even from a baby, and I'm not sure what happens like in the womb, but in general, what do you think about the idea that is it actually natural or even logical or even feasible for people to be eating every day?
Well, and I think that that's kind of one of those things where like I think I would say it depends on the activity. It depends on it depends on where you are in your nutritional journey. It depends on your activity level.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of factors that go into whether we should. I would say just to keep it on a case by case basis is like, if you don't have a lot of activity plan, you don't eat a lot.
Sure.
It's just simple as that. It's like kind of like what you said, calories in and calories out. So if you don't have a lot of activity, then you don't consume a lot of food. The days that you know you're gonna have a lot more activity, then you consume more food. So
Right.
and that's kind of like that's kind of how I would say it. You know what I mean? Like just to kind of make it to where people would take something away from it is like because that's a kind of like a question where it's like, um, like what do you need? Everybody's body is at a different state of health.
Sure.
You know what
I
I'm saying?
guess the question I was asking it more on the level of we're in this futuristic, that's so beautiful, amazing, technological, advanced society, industrialized to the point where it's like eat your 3 meals a day and eat these whatever food groups. And now we got, big food corporate interests involved in schools and educating people on what to eat since they were a child, whatever, whatever. But just this overall pattern: 3 meals a day, 3 meals a day, 3 meals a day. I've heard my whole
Yeah,
life. Now here I am 43 and realizing I could easily get by with 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day, or even staggered out alternate day fasting and feel actually way more energetic. So I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Just yet another thing they've lied to me about. And I say that
yeah,
to say, I know if I do alternate day fasting within a certain amount of hours into that next day, my body's gonna automatically go into ketosis and start essentially using whatever stored fat calories to start burning off and feeding my brain and feeding everything else it needs to feed. So it begs the question, is ketosis natural or not natural? I would say that it is natural based on how you stagger out your food, right?
yeah.
I don't know. It's just
I would
literally
say
this is
this,
this
but
is all stuff that I've done, in the past few months just by sheer experimentation with myself. Like, this ketosis thing is super interesting. Why haven't I heard more about this my whole life?
well, because it's not technically it's not it's kind of new science in a way.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like there are people that live and die by it. Like, and I think it's just a different philosophy. It's just like it's more than one way to get to the same source. I think
mhm.
it just depends on like how you decide to do it. I don't know any long-term studies on ketosis. I think it might have been this guy named Yukin, and he came up with this thing called the fat. I forgot what the name of the book was, but he was just talking about fat. And like I said, I understand fat is essential for life. It's essential for hormone function. It's essential for a
Sure.
lot of things. I think personally for me is just like I think that people they try to demonize carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, and they try to uplift fat. And I'm just going purely off chemistry. Like, and I'm talking about just consumption chemistry, not just like if you don't consume nothing, what your body does in that fasted state. I'm talking about consumption. Most people
Mhm.
try to put themselves into a level of ketosis through consumption. And I'm saying that produces a lot of Fat burns dirty, period. You know what I'm saying? And so now detoxing your body is necessary to remove cellular waste. So when you put your body in the ketosis state, you have to figure out what happens on a cellular level. Like you're burning fat, but this is the thing. You also got to remember this. This is the X factor. Toxins are stored in your fat.
Yes, I would say that's part of the
So
mechanism of the detox is
wait,
getting
but
to that fat that's stored. So you of
okay,
course
but
you got to make sure you
listen,
eliminate that properly, right?
right? But listen though. So now toxins are stored in your fat, right?
True.
So when your body stores things into your fat, it removes it away from your organs. It's like, okay,
Yes.
get this out of here and let's
Yeah.
remove this out of my organs, right?
Right.
So now,
It dumps it
what are
back in
you
your bloodstream.
releasing? Exactly. So what are you releasing when you start burning? So think about a person's body that's really, really toxic.
Sure.
They could feel like crap
Yeah.
because
No,
now
that's why they talk about the keto flu. Like that, when people
yeah,
first start experimenting with that and go into ketosis or like fasting autophagy, people feel shitty is because when it starts burning their fat, it's going and getting those toxins that were shunted away. But now, so when you do that, you got to make sure you are staying hydrated and eliminate that properly. Or I've even read about people doing like coffee enemas, just ways to get everything out faster and clean your liver out and
okay,
make sure your
right.
liver's
So
flowing through teas and whatnot.
right. So now this is the thing. So now, like with that information, once we brought that information into the subject, right? So now, for me, the way I would look at it from a scientific standpoint is I would say, hey, before we do any type of fasting to detox, let's do some herbal detoxes so we can make we can make, because you're gonna get that headache and stuff no matter what. I think who was that was talking yesterday? She was talking about she had like a headache, she wasn't feeling too good, and I was
Oh,
saying
yeah. At
those
certain
are
points, your
detox
headaches is coming in.
symptoms. You know what
Sure.
I'm saying? And so it's better to get the detox, to get the body detox through like a fast or herbs or a water fast, because then it gets out of the system no matter what. And then you could start doing the intermittent fasting where you go into the ketosis, it burns the fat, because then you've removed the majority of the toxins out of the body already. You
Interesting.
see what
I
I'm
like
saying?
that. I like
So the
that. Said
effects
the
of
herbs
a
first.
right, the
So you're
effects
like
of a detox are
mitigating it.
different.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, and so like somebody on my Instagram live, it was a Peach Town Diva Cat. She said it's important to eat daily. And you could drink broth. She said it's not important to eat daily. You could drink broth and still get nourishment, which is good. She also said this was some good info, and she was talking about how she herbal detoxes. So yeah, it's like
Mm,
I don't know, like, and I'm just thinking of it like, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just thinking about how my mind works, and when I think about uh getting the body to do what you need it to do, you know what I mean? Like, and not to say there's anything wrong with ketosis, like, but I think that there's a protocol that needs to happen uh in detoxification, so therefore you don't get really sick, because your
sure.
body stored those chemicals away, so therefore
Right.
it could protect you. And then you go and you burn them, and you release it back into the bloodstream,
Right. You got to make sure you can get
which
that out.
which depending on what somebody had as a toxin, that could be kind of detrimental to them.
Third World Colombian said, I actually just finished a 3-day fast yesterday. All I drank was water and kombucha. Savage.
Mhm.
How you feeling? Let us know. Let us know how you feeling. Make sure you sub to the AM1 for Energy channel. Make sure everybody stop the show. Matter of fact, I meant to do this, but now that I got it back up, stop the show. Everybody stop listening to this right now. We're going to take a somewhat of a break. Go sub to my guy, Coach G. First of all, go sub to my guy, Coach G, right now. Go do that, or we're just going to turn the whole show off. No, I'm loving this discussion because part of it is, I mean, like I said before, for whatever it's worth, you have credentials with this. I'm literally saying everything. And even, talking about the free energy lifestyle. People ask me what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I started telling people literally what I do and the benefits I've had from it. Now, to your point, And I started off even saying this. I've been doing intermittent fasting and different fasting type strategies and eating patterns for years.
Yeah.
So there is something to be said for having your body more fat adapted, understanding what you eat and how it kind of works. You know what I mean? The average
Yep.
person is not doing that. So yeah,
Yep.
somebody loading themselves up, eating whatever and not really paying attention, trying to just flip a switch and trying to like even Victoria, who I was speaking to yesterday, she just kind of out of nowhere does 3-4 day fast. I was kind of like, whoa, even the people that come in the Telegram group, I'm like, ease into these things, try
Yeah.
different things. Just start with like intermittent fasting. If you're gonna really want to do it, depending on what your goals are, what are your goals? Do you want the energy? I talk about doing this stuff relative to the energy, the mental energy, the clarity, and the delayed gratification, and just kind of knowing that you can manipulate the situation with your body, give you a certain level of empowerment, knowing like I'm not a slave to my taste buds or this,
Yeah.
obviously biological imperative to eat, and understanding that yes, they did teach us to eat more than we need to. So the whole fasting thing has all these benefits from a psychological level, a spiritual level, energy level, and then aesthetic level. And then yeah, I mean, as of course your body needs to have certain levels of fat. As we know, a lot of people, especially Americans, have too much fat, and that causes a disaster for hormones as well. So I'm very interested in strategies on how to like deal with that. But for me, I'm not some super overweight guy. I can kind of manipulate my situation. I have experience
Yeah.
with this. But again, I'm just talking about it from the standpoint of like, hey, these
Well,
things have been working for me. And I'm kind of, building the
so
ship while
so
applying it,
now
even talking about this stuff. Go ahead.
I feel like the next level for you would be to see how your body does off of a high carb, low fat diet. That would be like, since you've been doing this for so long, I would say that would be your next nutritional challenge. You know what I
No, I've
mean?
done that before. No, I've done high carb, just fruits and vegetables with no meat. I've done like, yeah, I've done that
Well,
in
I'm talking
multiple
about like,
intervals.
oh, okay, right. And
Yeah.
so what would you say? What would you say is, how was your performance athletically when you did that?
I guess the better way to say it for me is
Hmm.
what I get the best performance out of,
Hmm.
especially since I've been cycling through doing like longer fasts and kind of resetting. So it's literally like wipe the slate clean and then reintroduce things and see how my body reacts to it. The things that has worked best for me is a whole lot of carbs in the form of kale, greens, chard, lentils, and fish. And then I introduce like salmon, I introduce more cod, so two different types of fish, and then eggs. For years, I didn't eat eggs. I brought eggs back. So again, this is me. Like I actually, and I say this all the time, I don't like the idea of consuming animals. I don't. But I do realize that my body, my performance, my mental clarity, all of that actually appears to work better when I do that versus having way more fruits and vegetables and far less like meat protein sources. I've had a better
Well,
experience like that. That's
this is
just me though.
what I'll say about that, right? I and that's your experience, and so, you know what I'm saying, like, it's not, it's what you've been through. I would say this, right? It's always quality over quantity. You know what I mean? Like, and so, like, for example, how do you quantify mental clarity? You know what I'm saying? Because like, I could give you the same mental clarity that you can get from eating those things. I could put you on a mixture of ginkgo biloba. I could put you on a mixture of lion's mane mushroom and butterfly pea, and I can have you drink those teas and powders consistently, and it will give you this. It will give you a more enhanced mental clarity than the eggs, than the you know what I'm saying, like, it would do better because it's just higher quality material. So
Sure.
that's the reason why I say, like, it's really just about this. It's about the source of what we get our nutrients from, because oftentimes what we do is we think that the animal product itself is the best source, when in actuality we got what we know herbs as is forgotten nutrition. You know what I'm saying? Like, and herbs
Sure.
have 0 calories.
So for
So
me,
it's like,
I have
yeah.
I'm not married to any particular thing. So there's no like position towards like, oh no, I know eggs. I stand on that. I
Mhm.
just literally be my own scientist about it, take it to the lab. Let me try this. Oh, it's working cool. But yeah,
Mhm.
if I could, I don't like the idea of eating eggs. I don't like the idea of eating fish, even to be honest. I don't like the idea of
Right.
eating any kind of animals, to be honest. So if I could
Yeah.
replace, if I get the same effects and the combinations of the things I eat without eating animals and feel the same way, then I'm all for it, without
Yeah.
a doubt.
We'll chop it up offline, but I think that there is a way, and that's what I'm saying. Like, where is different levels to nutrition. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that
It's an interesting question.
yeah, tell her that you can manufacture mental clarity. Uh Mental clarity
Well,
is
let
go ahead.
me holler at that a little bit because
Go
yes,
ahead.
manufacturing mental clarity in theory, caffeine can give you this effective mental clarity, but that's some outside foreign compound stimulant. What I
Mhm.
was saying, mental clarity wise, is part of what I'm eating and how I'm staggering out the eating. So for me,
Yeah.
it is the intermittent fasting, extended fasting parts. And then when I specifically load up on more carbs, because I know I'm about to smash a crazy workout this day.
Yeah.
So my fasted days, I'm super crisp, I'm super sharp, I'm super creative. And then even on my workout days, my energy is through the roof because I just basically carb loaded into it. So now I'm just feeling like a beast because I just hit this crazy workout. And depending on my pattern, if I'm doing alternate day fasting or multiple days spread out, I got it now to where I can fast 48 hours and still work out during the fasted days anyway and still get juice out of it. But then if I, break the fast, carb load, then hit it, the workouts typically are more explosive. So it's just a lot of different things. But yeah, talk more about that. The mental clarity
Well,
manufactured.
okay, so this is what I say, right? There's a lot of things that go into your mental clarity and your mental state. The number one thing is your gut. Your gut is responsible for a lot of nerve endings in the gut, and there's a thing called the relationship between your brain and your gut. So
Sure.
most of the time, people that have blocked up intestines, they have a lot of quote unquote mental issues. They have lack of clarity because their gut is blocked up, right?
Sure.
Your liver is also responsible for your mental clarity as well, because you can notice that
Yes.
in alcoholics, some alcoholics have hallucinations. And so when the liver gets fucked up, you could have lack of mental clarity too as well. You could hallucinate if the liver is not proper, right? So let's just say all of that stuff is clean, right? Then what you could do is you could create an environment. You could create an environment that supports mental clarity, because now also the one thing that I say that fasting does is fasting changes your relationship with food, because a lot of people don't think that they can work out fasted. And the crazy thing is, like, when I first started doing it, I was like, I felt beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, damn, how do you do this? And then now I could do I could ride 9 miles fasted. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's kind of like a way that you channel your mind, and then I feel like when you fast, you become more conscious. You're more
Sure.
conscious of what goes in your body. You start to calculate things in a different way. And it's a certain level of discipline, and discipline also creates clarity.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And so then we
Sure.
go into the next level, which is the nutrition level. So the nutrition level is like, there are things that increase blood flow, because mental clarity has to be tied to blood flow, because blood gets to the brain. There's a blood-brain
Sure.
barrier, it increases function of the brain. So now you would think of things like rosemary, ginkgo biloba. Those are vasodilators. So those are things that
Yes.
open up the blood cells and make blood flow, right? So now you got those. Those are enhancements. Then you got things that calm you down, that make your brain enhance, which is like, you got things like butterfly pea. Ginkgo biloba is also one of those things. You have lion's mane mushroom. So it's like, those are all things that increase blood flow, that increase the function of the brain, they remove the fog, right? So those are ways that you, and then you got rose. You know what I mean? Like, you got rose, which is another one. It enhances your mood. So because a lot of things are relative, it's based off of how you feel. Like no one can tell you what your mental clarity is like because it's subjective, because it's based off of how you feel. But there are things that
Sure.
you can put into your body to enhance that feeling.
Mm,
You know what
interesting.
I'm saying? Like
From a
even
physiological way, like a
from exactly.
vasodilator, like for the most part, is going to work the same way for each person. And if there's vasodilation, then yeah, you're going to get more distribution of nutrients through your blood because your veins and arteries are more open. That's the vascular vasodilators. So a fancy word of saying something that opens up
But
your arteries and
exactly. Better
So no,
it's
I see
better
where you're going with that.
better blood flow.
Better blood flow.
Blood
Good way to
brings
say it.
nutrients, it brings oxygen. Blood is
Right.
blood is it runs through all of your body. So
That's an
it's
interesting
like,
way to break that down. But I like
huh?
that. No, I mean, you just listed off some different things, like some different sort of compounds, herbs. I need to explore that more too, as well.
Yeah,
Like, definitely. I mean,
and then too, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna
No, I
say,
was
let
just
me,
saying
and
I
then
have to.
too,
Oh, because we got a delay. But go ahead. Go ahead.
hold that thought real quick. And then too, you also have to make sure that you hydrate it,
Mhm.
because if we talk about blood, your blood gets thicker when there's less water in your body, and
Yeah.
then your blood gets it gets to the perfect formula when you're hydrated.
Right. I know. Then he reaches over and grabs some water. King Wade says stream is fire. Hold on, let me go to this too real quick, G, because necessary evil, and I definitely want to make sure. So Vic, shout out to Victoria, credit solutionist, who we did the dope stream with yesterday. She said that fast was nuts because she's breaking it today because she's eager to get back in the gym. And I'm like, hold on, relax, break the fast. Um, eat, refeed, eat, chill kind of tomorrow. If you feel good, walk, get some cardio in, get some more complex carbs in, and then at least this is what I would do. Not that I have it all down, but this is what I would do. Break it today, eat a lighter meal, um, and then tomorrow eat more of how you normally would. Maybe get some walks in, power walkish kind of vibes. And then on Sunday, if you're really eager to get back in the gym, you should be pretty much ready to go on Sunday. So she said that fast was nuts, but in the greatest possible way or greatest way possible. Necessary Evil said, question for the guest: how do you feel about plant-based meat? It seems very processed to me. Beyond Meat, burgers, chicken. I know you got something to say about that,
Yeah, let me give what's her name again?
Victoria.
Victoria. The first thing that I would do to break that fast, and it'd probably be the most enjoyable thing that you ever did in your life, is I would go get a seeded watermelon. Wait, no, watermelon ain't in season right now. I would go get some mangoes, and I would break that fast with some mangoes. And any high water fruit is gonna be perfect for breaking a fast. I wouldn't recommend anything in no don't eat no grains, just fruits and vegetables. So like some cucumbers, maybe start off with something high water content, and that'll be the best way to break your fast.
What do
I
you
say
think
that from
about
experience.
what do you think about the idea of breaking a fast with something that is fruit, but the idea that it's going to come with a certain amount of sugar to it after you just broke a fast and you kind of like let your system kind of relax and chill? I'm just curious about your thoughts on that.
So this is the
Sugar
thing,
in
your
fruit.
body, sugar, your body, that's what your body needs. Your body needs that to replenish. You know what I'm saying? Because we think we have to think about blood glucose.
But
And
exactly, wouldn't it
remember,
spike your blood glucose? So then it's going
no,
to spike
because it's
the
connected to
insulin too.
fiber. It's connected to fiber. Fiber makes things release. Fiber makes sugar release into the bloodstream slow. So that's why fruit is the perfect solution. Now, if she went and had a juice, that might be different because it's void of fiber. So now that would spike her blood sugar levels because it's just pure sugar. So you got to remember, if you ain't ate nothing in a long time, you have to eat something that's really light because your body is going to get back to doing this again. It's like if you give it something too heavy, then it's like, oh man. fuck, we just had a
Right.
break and now we going back to this.
Right.
So
You can overwork it again out of the gate after
yeah,
you just gave it a
fruit
break.
fruit is the perfect thing because it's soluble fiber and it's water soluble on top of that. So if she's been water fasting, fruit is liquid water, is liquid sunlight and liquid water.
She
Um,
said, as a follow up to that, oh, when I need sweet, so this is Victoria, when I need sweet fruit because my insulin dropped from the fast. Well, I think he just kind of addressed that with the idea that the sugar is coming with the the fiber, so it basically mitigates the insulin spike. So, because the idea
exactly.
is you don't want to spike the glucose, spike the insulin, because that can be harmful in certain ways to your system and a shock, especially after a 4-day fast. So, you definitely want to make sure you have that fiber with it, so it's mitigating the sugar. So it's kind of offsetting it and making you have to digest it slower, which is the or metabolize it slower, which is the whole concept of complex carbs versus just simple carbs, like more processed stuff. So yeah, like mangoes. I see what you're saying there. Obviously, I'm aware of that whole strategy of having fruit in that sense. Um, I mean, I get it. I mean, I've
It's,
broken
it's
fast
it's just
with.
it's just high water. High water fruits are what you want to break a fast with. Um, you want to answer that question? I can answer that one.
Well, yeah, and I think you pretty much touched on what Vic was asking. And then, yeah, I definitely want to get this one in because she dropped a super chat too, so I definitely want to address her, make sure I get her
Yeah, yeah,
questions
for
in. When
sure,
people
for
super chat,
sure,
I definitely want to get their questions in.
definitely.
Plus, if I don't, she's gonna yell at me later, so I gotta,
Right.
you know.
All right. So necessary evils question is this. Um, and somebody in my stream said that they never knew about the sugar and fiber connection. That's something that I want everybody to look into. Like everybody needs to understand soluble fiber and what soluble fiber does with sugar. So anything that's a carbohydrate that has soluble fiber in it, fiber makes things release into your bloodstream slow because fiber is what your body has to process. Fiber is like a broom. Fiber is like a broom that brushes off your intestines. That's why you got metamucil. What is metamucil? Metamucil is fiber. That's it. It's plant fiber. But to answer this question, the question is, how do you feel about plant-based meat? It seems very processed to me, or Beyond Meat burgers or chicken. This is what I say, right? Um, it's definitely highly processed, but if we think about the word process, anything that's changed from its natural state is processed, right? So we want to be mindful of the terminology that we use when we say process. If you take a fruit and you chop it up, you just processed it because that's not its original form. Now, the thing about the plant-based meats is that some of those things are not actual real food. It's created in the lab. It's made with all type of fillers. It's made with all type of oils. Some of the stuff might be GMO. Some of the stuff might not be real food, artificial flavors, colors, dyes, and stuff like that. So, in my opinion, it's not something that I would use as a go-to food or even have it in my diet uh, in any type of frequency. Now, however, for people that are coming from eating the standard American diet and they are trying to wean themselves off of a standard American diet and they need things that for them because a lot of it's mental. A lot of people need things that taste like things in order to make themselves feel like they are getting something good. Like for
I mean, a
example, some
psychological
people,
game.
yeah, it is. It's a texture thing, really. You know what I mean? And so some people need to have that texture to feel like they're not missing something because the moment you tell somebody like, hey, let me give you this black bean burger, the first thing a person, even though a black bean burger is healthy and probably more filling, the first thing that the person is gonna think is they're gonna be like, what black bean burger? That ain't gonna fill me up. Now, when they eat the Beyond Burger or the Impossible Burger, they might feel that satiation. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm all for it in whatever it takes to get somebody to uh, eat healthier. All right, peace down, Diva Cat. Thanks for coming through. Come back. We're gonna have more talks like this too.
They need to go watch on YouTube. Everybody in there should
Yeah,
there could be watching on YouTube.
everybody come to you. Make sure you follow me on YouTube, Plant Based Fitness.
Definitely
So
that.
yeah,
Everybody in
so
my chats need to be following Coach G off top because you see what it is. So that's dope. I mean, we have similar approaches. I mean, I'm not plant based. In knowing that, I knew that, and I knew he was coming in here. But that's the point, to give people some different perspectives on this thing. Like I say, try different things out, take it to the lab. But one of my biggest things is the idea of fasting and resetting everything, and then moving forward with different strategies and try different things and see what works well, and get out of that thing of where it's the mind games or you're just at the mercy of your taste buds or just the textures or the habits or whatever, and really start
yeah,
looking at food as fuel and being efficient with the fuel, the food sources. And then you get into the body chemistry stuff and all that. That's one thing. But macros, carbs, fat, protein, but just understanding that you can eat it from the most clean sources and just do it in specific levels of timing, while at the same time having certain levels of activity with your body, like I'll say cardio for breakfast, but even just mobility. So I mean, that's even just stretching, flexibility, just literally squats, just being able to sit in the deep squatted position for like range of motion, and just like super simple things can really make a big difference. But that's exactly why I wanted to have Coach G here to give some different perspectives. All right, so we just handled that first necessary evil question. Oh, she asked, have you had any, she was just coming back with that question, do you have any experience with transitioning diabetics to plant-based meals? So I think that was kind of piggybacking off the first question she asked, where we were looking for more clarification. She said, have you worked with anybody? I forgot what the original question was, but it was something to that. Have you worked with? And I guess you didn't have the context of it fully, but she's basically saying, do you have any experience transitioning diabetics to plant-based meals?
well, actually, one of my clients, can I can't do a screen share on here, can I?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see something real quick. Let me. So this is when I was doing my. I do meal prep too as well. For those of you that don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure everybody knows your offerings and what you got popping. Everybody, go sub to Coach G. I was about to say Coach DC, because shout out to Coach G for the 4.99 super chat. Uh, and let me start that so I can make sure I get that in. Since the body makes its own glucose through gluconeogenesis, regardless of what we intake, why do I need more glucose through food? Huh. Interesting. Gluconeogenesis. All right, I'm gonna leave that question for a second, but that's a dope ass question right there. Gluconeogenesis. Yeah, leave it to Coach DC to get way in the weeds. G, you're trying to share your screen because you have to do it on
Yeah.
StreamYard, and then I think I have to like share it. Like you should have the share button option thing down at the bottom, and then I like add it into the stream.
Okay. Let's see. So
There's a share button
share.
at the bottom, that plus, yeah, the little screen plus
Okay.
thing. But your browser will have to let you do it.
Yep.
Aha. Oh, so you're sharing your screen. So you got to pull up whatever you're trying to show on the screen. Because right now it's just showing us.
Okay.
Okay.
So this was from somebody that was doing my meal. She says, also, we wanted to tell you my dad's doctor said he doesn't need to be on insulin anymore. He's been having to do daily insulin shots for the last 15 to 20 years because of his uncontrolled diabetes, which has caused
Wow.
some bad kidney damage. And now, less than a month of eating strictly plant based with the help of your meals and doing daily walks, his doctor says he does not need anymore. He does not need it anymore. It is nothing short of miraculous. In a month or so, they're going to measure his A1C and we'll see if his levels have changed too. So
Gee,
that's kind
what are
of
we talking about? Yeah,
huh?
I think necessary evil that answered that question. So, gee, just off top, I got to go into creative consultant mode. I'm gonna need you to take that as a testimonial and do a whole video about that and put it here on YouTube and then take a snippet of it and put it on Instagram
Okay.
as a teaser for the full
Yeah.
video on YouTube. That's a testimonial about the effects of your plan, your program, and your meals. Bruh, like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? You already know. We got to talk more about this stuff, but it's like, no, you don't show me that kind of stuff that's that impactful. Thanks, Vanessa or Evil, for asking that. So then you said,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not going to just talk about it. I'm going to bring up the actual receipts showing what it is, a live testimonial that's
Right.
profound. Because even their medical person came back and said they don't need, bruh, are you kidding me? Saving lives out here. Stop it.
Hey, hey, look, I'm just
I'm gonna
trying
need
to
a
add
whole
years
video
to
on
people's
that.
lives.
Can I get a video on that next week? I need that. I want to see
Yeah, I
that
got
on
you.
YouTube.
I got you.
Hell nah. That's what I'm talking about. That right there.
Yeah.
What else we got? Necessary Eva, I appreciate that question. So yeah, transitioning diabetics to plant-based. Let's try to deal with this because this is an interesting thing. Gluconeogenesis. You familiar with that?
Yeah. So this is the thing. Leave that up there. So he's saying that since the body makes its own glucose through glucose neogenesis, regardless of what we intake, why do I need more glucose through food? Okay, so this is my question for you, Coach DC. I want you to not consume any glucose and see how long your body could then produce gluconeogenesis without any food intake. So, because if that's the case, then we don't need food at all.
Well, no, he's saying gluconeogenesis regardless of what we intake. So if I'm reading this right, he's saying that he doesn't specifically need the glucose from sugar or theoretically carbs, meaning he could be more low carbs and gluconeogenesis is going to happen regardless of what we intake. Not that he's
Well,
saying
this
we
is
don't need to eat at all.
well because if
I
you think about it, if he's saying that, that means that he's saying that everything has to have a glucose property. Like there's nothing that doesn't
I
have.
think he's saying quite the opposite. I think that's the point. Or I think he's saying literally that because regardless of what we intake, if we have more protein, fat, theoretically, that's still going to allow for gluconeogenesis without having glucose.
Okay, wait, but
Like
that doesn't make
he would
sense
have to
because
clarify that, but
everything because a carbohydrate, a protein, and a fat are building blocks for life. So how could you consume something that doesn't have a carbohydrate, a protein, and a fat as a building block?
no, I think what he's saying is you could have protein, you could have fat, and still make your body create the glucose. So it's kind of
I'm
basically
saying, but
substituting the carbs. I
I
think
get
that's what
that.
he's saying.
But what can you consume that's just protein that doesn't have elements of carbohydrates and fat in it?
Oh, I think that's the idea because the idea of most meats are pretty low carb. So I think
Right?
he's
It's
making
low
the case
carb, but
for
it's
that
not no carb.
formation in living cells of glucose and other carbohydrates from other classes of compounds. Oh, in living cells of glucose and other carbohydrates from other classes of compounds. Uh, Gluconeogenesis. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no, that's an interesting idea. I don't know. I mean,
I say it like
over
this:
my
like
head.
you can choose to do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't recommend that strategy to the average everyday person. It sounds like Coach DC has a different level of knowledge of how he wants to consume glucose. So my thing would be like, you know, like if that's what you choose to do it. I wouldn't recommend that for like, for example, like the dude that was coming off diabetes. I wouldn't recommend him not consuming any carbohydrates. And I just don't. I don't know. I guess for me, I guess I would have to see a way that that's possible uh, from a chemistry level of like not of just only consuming protein and fat and having gluconeogenesis happen without no carbohydrates. I think what he's saying would probably be better if I was to actually hear him say it versus reading it in a text because I'm kind of lost on like
Yeah, I think that's
the
a
train of
like
thought.
a pretty high level concept to I'll do one of these again and have you, Vic, and Coach DC, because I've done one-on-ones with Coach DC. I've been talking to Coach DC for years in this Black YouTube space. And then I just did a one-on-one with him recently, and I'm trying to talk to him about his fitness coaching and whatnot. And he's breaking down like, yeah, before we even get to the physical part, we're doing the mental mindset part. And he just stayed on that. I was like, wow, his whole thought process was super dope. Shout out to Coach DC. But I appreciate that 4.99 super chat. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty heady kind of sciencey kind of point right there.
Well, I think what he's saying is that it's it's a way to produce glucose from non-carbohydrate pathways.
Right.
And I think you could do it, but it's just like, I don't know, like, why?
I agree.
If we have,
I kind of agree with that.
yeah,
Because
it's
I'm
like
not
if we
opposed
have,
to carbs. I'm not opposed to fat. I'm not opposed to anything. For me, I'm just fascinated with the idea that, because I don't know if you noticed, G, I don't trust anything. I'm a conspiracy theorist about everything, including what they've been telling us to eat. I don't trust none of it. So for me, the idea that in 43 plus years or 40 plus years, 43 years, the idea of this whole thing of, oh, they told us to eat with a certain level of regularity, and then they set us up for failure with certain unhealthy food. And then when I experiment more with fasting, I get really interesting results out of that. And then later in life, find out about this concept of ketosis, where you basically, if you keep your insulin levels down, and essentially don't introduce any calories, and your body shifts to burning the fat. That's super interesting to me. So because of that, it makes me like, I'm willing to try all kind of different things. I don't trust none of what these people are saying.
right.
Let me try some different things, because I say that as part of my whole like free energy lifestyle system, the autonomy, self governance part, the discipline, because we are on our own and nobody's coming to save us. So I don't trust establishment, science, whatever. So for me, it's kind of like, yeah, be your own scientist, do your own research, take it to the lab. DC said, no, I'm saying the body is intelligent and has a way of making glucose when needed. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Agreed. Yeah. Your body is intelligent. It has a way of like your body will take things from certain places when you need it. You know what I mean? So like, for example, if you're not getting enough calcium, your body will get it from your bones. You know what I mean? Like it has a way of, think about it like this. The body's main goal is homeostasis. And every day it's a battle to get your body back at homeostasis. Right. And that's what your body does from birth to death, is it tries to maintain homeostasis. It tries to maintain neutral alkalinity. It doesn't want to be too acidic. It doesn't want to be too alkaline. It could go up or down. It could be acidic when you're sick. But if you go too high on either spectrum, if you become too alkaline, you could have alkalitosis. And if you become too acidic, you can have acidosis. Both of those result in death. So the goal of the body is to keep you at homeostasis, which is perfect balance. So yeah, our body does a lot of intelligent things.
Right. Shout out to Coach GC for that, because that's a pure gem right there. But yeah, the homeostasis part, like the more I learned about that, just like, oh, okay. And again, for me, one of the big linchpin things is how it ties back to this whole fasting thing. So it's like I'm rethinking everything. The natural state can't be to have something outside of you being digested all the time. And what happens if you create a gap where you can more or less clear everything out of you? Is that at that point, even from a spiritual point, that's when you're the real you, right? So
yeah, you get clear.
That's just me. That's just me being weird.
No, it makes sense. That's why a lot of spiritual practices have fasting. Like Buddhist monks fast. Everybody has a period of fasting, and the purpose of the fasting is to bring you closer to yourself. Is to bring you, even in Islam, Ramadan. That's a spiritual cleanse. Is designed to bring clarity to yourself. You know what I mean? To where you change your relationship with food. Will says, I spoke about genetics earlier, and are there specific optimal carbs for people with melanin? If so, could you elaborate? I would just say that there are specific carbs, but I would say eat a variety of things. But I will say this: when it comes to carbohydrates, you want to eat things that are non-GMO, um, and I mean genetically modified in the lab. Now, there's a thing that we talk about is like hybrid, and me personally, I'm not against hybridized things, and the only reason why is because uh, that a lot of things are hybridized. You know what I mean? Like it's just a practice of farming. You know what I mean? Like if you get a good crop and you want that crop to grow, you probably will match it with another crop, or and that crop will produce another seeds. That's a hybrid. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a genetically in the lab created thing. But what I will say is that people should consume fruit with seeds in it. That's step number one. And we are definitely tropical people. So, the tropical fruits are definitely going to be good for us as long as they're not GMO, sprayed with pesticides. But also, when you change environments, you have to eat things from your local environment. So, the things that grow closest to you are automatically going to be the highest in nutrient density. So, I would say that's another element. And lastly, I would just say, yeah, that would be it. It was like grow eat stuff that's close to you. If you live in a tropical environment, eat a lot of tropical fruits. Eat things that are high water content, and try to eat things that are not genetically modified in a lab.
I agree with all of that for sure. Coach DC, Coach DC, Coach G. I don't want to keep you too long, but I do want to run you through this. AM1 Free Energy Lifestyle, my 8 keys. I want to just get your thoughts on this as I'm developing this. I'm a big fan of your work, your efforts. Definitely go check out. I mean, I was talking to my guy. We kind of doing like an impromptu sort of consulting session, kind of on the media production output content side. And I'm like, my brother right here has so much to offer. Definitely go tap in with him. I went and check out his numbers. I think y'all been tapping in with his channel a little bit. I still want to see his numbers go up. He's about to come with more content because obviously you guys know I'm a visual media producer and creative consultant. So I'm be working with my guy G here and really just like sort of tag teaming on pushing out more content and just more focus on content because my brother right here has so much to offer and I want to see him running up more on YouTube here. He's doing a lot of damage on Facebook and on Instagram, but I want to see him coming here flexing on YouTube. That's what I'm saying. So I was like, G, come talk to my folks here on YouTube. So he's going to be coming with more content. So make sure you sub to him and come visit us. Drop some stuff in the Telegram group as well. Let folks know about because I know you just got the sort of ultimate workout pre-workout guide. I know you was working on that. Come
Yep.
drop that in the Telegram group. I need to see a video on that. I need to see a video on that testimonial thing you just dropped. Let me show you this though, because this is just a part of the show. And salute to the chat, been asking dope questions and whatnot, been interacting. And again, I appreciate you, G, for pulling up on your boy. Let me show you this real quick. So yeah, this right here. AM1 Free Energy Lifestyle, Keys to Health. Free Energy Lifestyle Keys overview. This is basically my whole get down. This is how I rock. And here's how I roll. So, just at a glance, here's kind of what I'm talking about. Lifestyle changes that if people make, this stuff that I've been pushing, like basically for the last, quarter of my life, and even more so within this year, and even more on the fasting element as well. And it's done a lot to change my life. So this autonomy thing, so just being motivated by, hey, freedom, self-governance, we're on our own because I don't trust the medical industry. I don't trust these, so-called experts. I think for very good reason. I think you know what I'm talking about. In the last 2 years, they've been playing some funny games. Movement resistance training, got to have a body moving right. Nutrient consumption, food, water, breath, fasting, proper sleep, rest cycles, media content consumption. That's a big deal, right? And now, especially for us, because we're on the opposite side of that, where, we're looking to deliver value and content. So we got to look at that in a whole different way, kind of. Intentional interactions. You can't just be out here willy nilly, partying it up with rando people. That's going to leach your energy. Creativity, hobbies. I even put business in that as well. Time and nature. We live right by this beautiful Lake Merritt. what do you think about these 8 keys, sir? Just what do you relative to health? Any of these things that you resonate with?
Yeah, I think all of those keys are definitely things that create it creates an informed health seeker. You know, like the autonomy, freedom, self-governance, like not listening to, not just believing in things that people put in front of you, questioning things, doing the research on it. um Movement and resistance training, those are the keys to life. Like it's the thing that's going to keep your vessel, while we have this vessel, it's the thing that's going to keep your vessel in optimal condition. you know um Nutrient consumption, yeah, being mindful of the foods that you consume, being mindful of what goes in your body, um being mindful of all the things that you do that requires anything going in your mouth, and also your eyes too. That's kind of like the media consumption is like, for me, like I don't have TV. You know what I mean? Like I don't watch TV. And even on social media, I'm mindful of the amount of time I spend on it. I'm mindful of like the things that I watch, the people I follow, all that stuff. Rest and sleep, that's the pillar. It's like if you are not going to be figuring out how much you sleep and how much you rest, then you're setting yourself up for grogginess, failure, lack of focus. There's so many things that you set yourself up for just by not sleeping. Um, then you got intentional interactions, like so these are a part of one of the things that I've learned in like my master's degree program is like tenets of life. You know what I mean? Like there's different tenets. Like I did a video on it, and intentional interactions falls under positive relationships. And a lot of people don't equate positive relationships um, to health. You know what I mean? Like in your health and wellness is is based off of your social circle. You know what I mean? Like your friends determine your health in actuality. Because an example
Yes.
to that is like if all your friends want to do is go out to restaurants, drink, you could be eating $100 plates. But if the food that you eating is bad food and all your friends want to do is go out, party, and drink, then that's going to be a part of you. If that's what your family does, that's going to be a part of you. We are all influential. So the intentional interactions is good, but then also too, knowing when to be alone, knowing when to meditate, knowing when to recharge, knowing when to go out into nature. You know what I mean? Like knowing when you've had too much output and when to put in, because it's like sometimes people say, they say give of yourself, uh don't be selfish in your giving. But if you don't take care of yourself, what quality are you giving? You know what I'm saying? And then your creativity and your hobbies, that's the stuff that fuels you. That's your passion. You know what I mean? Like that's what fuels you. That's what you pour into. You know what I mean? So like you have to have that. You have to have something that you do that's outside of work. You know what I mean? Whether that's like playing the piano, learning how to make beats, video, exercise, whatever it is, you have to have some sort of creative outlet. And then yeah, once again, time in nature. Nature is just is beneficial. There's a study on hugging trees. And I think then you told me about that, Aaron. Didn't you tell me about that?
No.
Oh, you didn't tell me about that. Okay, well, yeah, there's a study
No, I'm
about
aware
hug.
of I'm aware of that, but I never talked to you about that.
Oh, okay, well, yeah. So it's a study about hugging trees. So if you look at animals, you'll always see a lot of animals going up to trees and putting their arms around trees. And it's something about the relationship to nature that us as stewards of the planet that we have. You know what I mean? And so like that's why it's like I feel like when you get into nature, it just makes you realize how beautiful the world is. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like when you see that stream when it's quiet and all you hear is the
Yes.
water, and then
Right.
you see the water flowing down, and you're like, damn, this is beautiful. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think all of those are really wonderful keys to health.
And obviously none of this stuff is super profound or inventing the wheel or anything like that. But when people ask me more and more, what things do you do to stay youthful, to stay energetic? Obviously, when you get into this nutrient consumption part, that's a big part of it, especially the fasting element as well. But obviously, that directly links to the proper sleep, rest cycles, the media content consumption could throw off the sleep part. So all these things are interlinked. So it's at first glance, somebody might be like, duh, obviously everybody knows this, but these 8 things are pretty interconnected and pretty complex when you break it all out. And ultimately, just as far as lifestyle changes, focusing a lot on this, the interactions things, yes, you are a direct reflection of your circle. Into this comment right here from Vic. Does your circle diminish or replenish you? Something to think about, man. Yeah, exactly. So those
Mhm.
ideas like that.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's like, yeah, nature does. Coach DC said nature makes you realize that you are nature. Yeah. As above, so below.
Yes, that's a
Your
major
founder.
gym.
Oh, okay, there you
Yeah, no,
go.
I just realized I was muted. No, that was a major gym. And you said as above, so below. Yeah, see?
Yeah,
That's
as
why I
above,
love
so
these
below.
talks right here. Great minds come together, just getting deep on these
We,
things.
we are we are we
Um,
are made of stardust.
right, right,
The
right.
same thing that's in
People don't
outer space is
understand
the same thing that's in us.
cosmic beings. Like you take it on that level, people are like, wait, what? But it's like, yeah, that's what we're dealing with.
Well,
Like
look, so
we're
so look now here goes some more. So here goes some more esoteric stuff when we talking about consumption of things, right? We got something that's called a light body, right?
mm,
And how do you make your body light? By eating sunlight. How do you eat
mhm,
sunlight? What are the things that consume the most sunlight?
fruit.
Plants, fruits and
Right,
vegetables. So if we are really hopping into our light body, then that means that the things that have the most light are the things that we should consume.
right.
Chew on that one time.
Absolutely. No, like that idea of talk about plants, like literally the sun is beaming down on it. It's breathing the thing we expire and we
Yep.
breathe in what it expires. So there's that whole
Symbiotic
symbiosis.
relationship.
Right. And then the idea that it's literally grounded in the earth, made out of the same minerals that make up the bodies that we have, that came from our mother and her mother, and you know what I mean, fathers, what you know what I mean, pass those genetics on. So when you really look at it that way, you'll fool around and like really go sit out in nature and be like, whoa, nature makes you realize you're nature, but we are some type of spiritual being having a human experience piloting this nature
Yeah.
thing. So we're interacting with
Fact.
this nature thing. So it's like, hey, do you want to be more of that light body, the consciousness thing that you really are? And if you want to be more of that, then you interface with the things that were set up here for you to treat this body right. So you interface with it right, meaning
Yep.
you gotta shine, let the light body shine through more by consuming the things that capture the light from the sun. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like the story tells itself on what we should be doing.
And if you think about it, like just on some more esoteric stuff, like, and just higher level thinking, is like we we are consciousness, right? And so for the one thing about the human body is the human body is a big ass antenna, and it's we're able to attract the things that we can that we need to attract to ourselves by tuning our vibration. Every piece of food that we consume has a vibration. So now it's kind of like the more in tune you are, you start to pay attention to the world differently. You start to look and you start to see like, hey, wait, regardless on what we fed, if we tap into like the media consumption thing, there's more good on the planet than there is bad.
Right.
It's just we get the bad just gets the bigger highlight.
Right.
There's more positive things that happen on the planet than bad, but there's more bad things that get highlighted because the goal is to keep your brain in the state of fear. Fear makes you die faster. It
Uh-oh.
makes your body produce more cortisol.
Uh-oh.
You know what I'm saying? So then when we think about it, when we think about us being antennas, we have to be mindful of the signals that we emit, because now like our brain can function so vastly. Like our brain can communicate from thousands of miles away. And the way we know that is like this. Is like when you're thinking about someone and they call. That's not a
Right.
coincidence. Or when you're
Right.
talking about somebody and then they call you. That's
Right.
not a coincidence. That's like our heart can go for thousands of miles and our brains can go for thousands of miles. And so, the more in tune you are, the better your stuff functions. You know? So that's just some
Tell it.
mental stuff to tap into or to dive in, you
Those are
know?
all things I live by for sure. MacBone Files with a gem, your true self is the creator along with cosmic consciousness.
Facts.
Pure gems, pure gems. And then this one from Coach DC. The mind is a sending and receiving station.
Facts.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a it's a
Love the
it,
scalper.
it's a
Shout out. Ah, here we go. This is what I like to see right here. MacBone Files. Peep that G. Go
Oh
look at your
yeah, I
numbers after
appreciate
this.
that. Mac Bone Files, I appreciate that. Everybody that's on my Instagram, I got some action on this Instagram too. Glow by Nature said, wow, such good information. Tasha269 Nino86 says, yes, tree hugging makes you feel rooted. Yeah, it's folks over here. They like in the chat. And then Hair Glam
They can
Studio
hear both
said,
of us?
yeah, because they can hear you through my speakers.
Oh, okay. What they want to
Yeah.
do is go sub to your YouTube channel. That's what they
Yeah,
really should be doing.
everybody should subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's plant-based fitness, because I'm going to be giving out a whole bunch of more content. I'm trying to be the Tupac of content right now. You know how Tupac had like 400 songs. I'm about to go on a tear, and I'm just gonna go on a mad creation of content, because I think that people need to hear this information. And I've been kind of dormant as far as like with my perspective and stuff. And I think it's about time that I start, and I'm not gonna say that's probably a little bit modest. I haven't been dormant, but I just need to get further out, and so that's my goal.
Everybody that's pulling up on your, if they can hear me on your IG, the real action, or at least if I have any say so in it, we're gonna ramp this thing up big time on the YouTube tip. And I'm gonna be nudging G along the way with the different strategies I'm rocking with and whatnot, just like us doing a stream right here. We pushing, we moving, because yeah, people soaking game up on this stream, free game Friday style, you know what I mean? Free energy style, plant-based
Free game
fitness style.
Friday.
We gonna run this up. We just scratching the surface on this. I got something for
Yeah.
everybody in the chat who stuck around, and it's gonna sit here. But let me go back in the private chat. I mentioned it, and he slid it in the private chat, and I didn't even notice it. But I'm gonna drop y'all this link to Coach G's ultimate pre-workout guide, so y'all can go pull up on that right now, and go ahead and go download that right now. The PDF
I
for
got
y'all.
something I want to bless everybody with too. I got this mobility challenge that people might like. I
You
got a
want me to
bunch of
drop
shit.
that link though?
Oh, hold on, wait. I got a mindfulness
Okay.
workbook. Let's see. Let me see about this mobility challenge real quick. Let me just see what this is, because the mobility challenge is pretty dope. I think people got a lot of benefit from it. Let me drop this in here real quick. So I just got 3 things for people that's kind of like sticking around.
A credit solutionist. Oakland is churning out some very enlightened brothers. There's a few. There's a few. There's a few.
There's a couple of us still around.
Right. I was just about to say, used to be a lot more, but yeah, we hanging in there.
And then let's see. Dun, dun, dun. I know I sent that
Alonzo,
to
the
you.
all-star advisor, was good. Let's see. Your microphone files went over there and sub. DC said he just subbed. He said subbed. He said though I'm not going plant based. Yeah, I mean even beyond that, Coach G. Now get me confused. Coach DC to Coach G. G has all kind of other different tactics. Obviously, there's a whole lot of gyms here, even for somebody that's not looking to go plant based, which I knew would
Well,
be the case.
this is the thing. He already plant based. He don't just eat only meat.
Hmm. Interesting. Huh? That's an interesting way to look at it. That is an interesting way to look at it.
But and then I say it like this, right? For me, like nutrition is a journey. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be vegan to get game.
Oh,
And
Northern Bell said does
and for
does
and for those of you that don't know, like plant based, the term plant based has a lot of different meanings. Like some people consider plant based as long as they eat the majority of their food uh from plants. They can consider that plant based. So plant based has a lot of different meanings. Uh, for me, I think that I'm vegan. I've been vegan for 12 years. So vegan's not for everybody. You know, everybody has a different way how they see their life. For me, my goal is to try to live to 250 years old. So the things that I'm doing are based off of people that I've seen that were living beyond 100 years old, and I looked at their diet and I just copied it. So, and for me, I'm just like, hey, I'm starting when I'm younger. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, when I get older, I have less issues. So everybody's at a different place along their journey, and you don't have to do what I do to get game.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Did you find those links or did you
Yeah. I put them up there.
wait, so would you want me to drop all these?
Yeah, you could drop all of them.
Okay. And then actually I'm gonna copy these later because then I'll put these in the description of the video as well too.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm
hold on,
gonna
let me
I'm
do that
gonna I'm
first.
gonna let me see if I can give these to some of my people on this IG.
We got Coach G hitting y'all with some products, some things. It's a lot of black folks in here. Black folks love free stuff. Everybody like free stuff. Relax, relax, relax. Don't get mad at me. All right, so we got the ultimate pre-workout guide. I just dropped that link right there. So I'll go holler at that. That just went out on both channels. Then we got the PDF ebook giveaways. What is that one?
I think that one might be click that link real quick. I think that one is for it's it's three things, right? So it is
Oh, it's like a combination. Oh,
it's the ultimate pre-workout guide, right? The other one's a good morning routine, and then the other one is a mobility challenge.
wait. So this one right here, good morning, good night ritual.
Yeah, that's
The
a book that I created for people to set up themselves a good morning and a good night ritual.
Oh, that's dope. All right, let me see. So I just need to make some other notes here because you just give me the raw link, but I want to make sure. Uh,
So here, mobility challenges. So to think about the first one is the ultimate pre-workout guide. The second one is the good morning, good night routine. And the third one is the mobility challenge.
all right. So I want to make sure instead of just dropping the link, so I'll make it easier for the folks. But hey, y'all getting some free stuff, and it's on the fly. And I got my guy G hitting y'all with some things. So we got I had one clown in the blacks. Vic being here a while, and Vic is hilarious. Vic, I'm gonna need more content out of you as well. I mean, you've been more consistent with this YouTube stuff more than me, uh, overall, but I still need to see more content out of you because use a star. Use a star. Um, yeah, the sound effects. Word, word. He got the effects. All right, so y'all check that out. So we got pre-workout. Uh, Damn, I don't like how this thing just pasted these things in here. So I hope I didn't break the links. Did these links post in there right? Okay, they did. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's some goodies for you right there from Coach G. I appreciate everybody that went over and subbed to Coach G. He got more content coming.
Yep.
If I have anything to say about it, he got new content coming next week. We're gonna talk about some different things. He about to run up a lot more content on his channel. He gonna be back over here from time to time. We're gonna be talking about a lot more things and just growing. Because what we're gonna do is the repetition thing. Because I'm a media guy. This kind of visual media stuff that I do for a living. And now that I'm rocking and pushing on this YouTube thing, and tapping into comrades, and we on each other head, like, bro, where your content at? What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? That's what it's gonna be. The hub where we, nudging each other, like, bro, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Where your stuff at? Where your stuff at? We're gonna be hitting y'all over the head and really building a community out and just staying on y'all neck about the health tip. And I think that's one of the dopest things. We're gonna make it to where your content consumption can be more focused at something that's offering real world value to help you get more energy out of your day to day and just better and more consistent health, longevity, and quality of life. I think everybody wants that and wants to rock with that. I'm sure you agree, G.
Yep. That's the key. The key is to anything that you could do to improve your quality of life. That's the goal. The goal is, like, for me, I say, like, I want to leave my mark on this planet, and I would like to help to add more years to someone's life. You know what I'm saying? So if I have any information or any knowledge that will add a couple more years to someone's life, then that means that while I'm here on this planet, that I left the world a better place. And that's just my goal. My goal, like, I did my Mayan astrology, and my Mayan astrology said my goal is to bridge the gap between heaven and earth.
Wow.
So that's I got a bigger calling, like, what I'm saying, like my grandpa was a holistic doctor. It was a lot of things that my grandfather did, a part of his legacy, that I'm just carrying on. So he passed the torch to me, so I got to be better.
That's what's up. In the family,
Yeah.
that lineage, right?
Yeah, and that's a whole nother story. Like, it's crazy. Like, once we, like, I wanted to make a documentary out of that, because it was one of those things where, like, you go see the master, and then, like, the master die, and then all of a sudden the student feel lost, and then the master left behind some sort of, like, key, and then the student becomes the master. So it's kind of like one of those situations where it was pretty dope. Yeah.
A coming of age story where Coach
Exactly.
G is handed the master key from his teacher, his grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has to set out on a journey to bridge heaven and earth. An epic tale.
Hey, no, for real, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, yeah, I it was times where I was like, and the crazy thing is, I met my grandfather for the first time 2 years before he died. Actually, a year and a half. Wow. So I met him in summer of 2018, and he died in December 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. It was some real deep. It was deep. And the crazy, you know how you just get that signal in your mind. It was like, man, I wonder if my grandfather's still alive. And then I
Oh
talked to
wow.
my auntie. My auntie introduced us, but that we'll say that for another. We'll say that for another live.
See the keys that he handed you down. That's interesting because then it's almost like, yeah, you link with him at the end of his experience here as he transitions to something bigger and better, but then he's dropping you
Yeah.
off sort of the keys and handing you the baton. So then now
Yeah.
you got to rock it out. So that's an interesting story. Like it was right on time, right?
Yeah. And
Right on
well,
time.
somebody said this because like when he first died, I was kind of like I was confused, and somebody was like, he knew that his legacy would live on, so he knew that he could rest. And I was
Yeah,
just like,
yeah, that was kind of a reverse way of kind of what I was just
yeah,
thinking
you
right
know what I'm
there.
saying? Like,
Exactly.
and that was on some deep stuff right there. I was like, wow, like he knew that his legacy would live on, so that he could rest. I was just like, wow, and it kind of brought ease to me. You know what I'm saying? Because if I really pay attention to how it happened, that's what it was. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
that's exactly what it was. So, it allowed me to bring ease to like death. Sometimes when we think about death, we think about how something is gone. And for me, I looked at it like an energy thing. Like nobody ever really dies. The nerd Pharrell had that
sure.
song, that
Yeah, nerd,
album,
NERD.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Nobody, and it's so
The
true
group
because
was
it's
nerd.
like, yeah, it's like nobody does ever really die. They just change form. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so now I have access to my grandfather, you know what I'm saying? Because he's guiding. You know what I'm saying? Like if I ever need to talk to him, I can meditate. He's there.
Mhm.
So it's kind of on those lines where it's just like, we look at life and we look at death, but I think the biggest thing is like the lesson. The lesson of like his life was he kind of like told me, like he showed me what was possible if you don't stop. Like the quote, intellectual growth should only cease at death, was his
Mm,
life.
wow.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was his actual lived life.
That's how it should be. I mean,
Yeah,
we can only hope to be able to have impact like that and be able to like move more of this type of energy right here in the same direction. Hopefully, proliferate more of it to where more people are moving in this direction. Coach DC basically mirroring that same thought. They don't die; they're alive in us through our everyday expressions. Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Moving that forward. But Coach G, we're gonna wrap this up because we don't want these things to be too long as deterrents. Because
yeah,
somebody's like,
yeah,
"Oh, this is
yeah,
gonna be
for
like two
sure,
and a
for
half
sure.
hours."
Yep,
But if I get time, I'll go through some of this and chop up some of the gems. But of course, like I said before, we'll do more of this. Come back and do some of these later. You see what it is? Wanted to have you come through, holler at the folks in here. I knew they was gonna engage with you real nicely.
yep.
Um, get you some subs on the channel and whatnot, and just
I
chop
did.
game with the folks for
I
Game
went
Friday
from
style.
47. I went from 47. I think I'm at like 62 now.
I
So
appreciate it. I love it. I love it.
that's some love. Hey, first of all, I appreciate all the love from the Free Energy channel. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank y'all for coming through, for subscribing, for sitting around and listening to us both chop it up for 2.5 hours. That's a long time,
Crazy.
So yeah, I want to show y'all some love. For that, I dropped y'all some little gifts that y'all could have. A lot of that information is very beneficial. And thanks, bro, for having me on and all the rest of that good stuff too.
And for anybody listening to this later, those links to his giveaways will be in the description as well, so you can come back and get those later. Um, man, and then yeah, we're gonna have G back because we're gonna be running it up, doing a whole lot more stuff going into the summer, and just indefinitely because yeah, I'm just that much more locked in on my sort of health journey, so to speak. And it's just getting better and better and getting more and more sharp. And on the visual media content creation side, I'm just ramping that up as well. So just be tapping in with more folks. This is my guy right here. I know him in person, known him for years right here in Oakland, California. And we got some other folks from around the way that are of like minds. We're going to be tapping in with just really building the network. Then, of course, the network around the country and around the world. So you already know what it is. And what creates free energy here with my special guest, Coach G of Plant Based Fitness. Make sure you go subscribe to him. Go check him out on IG and check out those free gifts that are in the chat and will be linked in the description after this is all done and I go set all that up. For now, we're gonna peace up out of here. G, let me run this outro, but stick around, sir. All right.
You want me to let them know where they can find me at?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, shout it out, or I mean, I've been dropping links.
For sure. So if you guys are looking to find me, you can find me on YouTube, Plant Based Fitness. You can also find me on Instagram at Plant B Fitness. I actually created a TikTok too. You can find me on there, Plant B Fitness 1. And then that's pretty much it. And then my website, when it's back up, it's not up right now, but it's www.plantbfitness.com.
So yeah, I just dropped the YouTube link again, and I'll drop the IG again too, real quick. And then, of course, all that'll be linked up in the description as well. Again, shout out to my guy, Coach G, Plant Based Fitness. Go holler at him because he's gonna be hollering at you. More content's coming next week if I have my way, but definitely he about to be the Tupac of content. He's gonna be hitting y'all with a whole bunch of fitness content real soon. I appreciate y'all rocking with us 2.5 hours. You know, I hope it's value. If there's no value, turn this off. If not, stick around with us. Get your free energy and one style. All right, peace, y'all.